The Fan is live and local with Fan Sports Saturday. The Fan Sports Day of the Week. Oh, this is some clever branding. Here's your host. Place, name, here.
Saturday, June 28th. Very happy to have you with us for what's going to be a jam-packed Fan Sports Saturday. Lots going on in the Ohio sportscape right now. We've got the NHL Draft, the Blue Jackets with lots going on specifically. We'll cover that in the first hour. We'll talk a little bit of Major League Baseball, focusing in on the Reds in hour number 2. Then in our third hour, we'll wrap things up with a lot on Ohio State. Happy to have you with us. I'm Dylan Tyrer. Pat Murphy is the co-host with me today, and we've got Nate Puderbaugh running things behind the glass. Pat, how's it going on this great Saturday?
It's good. Happy to be here with you. Good. Happy to be here with you. Forgot to push the on button.
Helps to hit that on button.
Yeah. I thought I hit it, but it's a good start to the show.
Start.
Yes, exactly. But no, good. Glad to be here with you, Dylan, and excited to do a show with you.
All right, so you just got back from Europe, right? Like, I had heard a lot about these guys talking about you being away. I think you did maybe a hit or two on your way to Europe, right, on the Buckeye Show? So,
yes, Brandon had me on literally in the airport. I think we pre-recorded it the day before because I usually am on Friday afternoons, Friday evenings. And so, yes, I did it from the airport. We were in the D.C. airport, ready to fly to England.
All right, so tell me about this trip. Was it just England? Did you make other stops? Where did you go?
Well, this one was just England. This is probably my fourth or fifth time going over. The first time actually was January of 2020. And if you remember what happened shortly after January of 2020, it was a weird time to think back of like, oh, we were just in Europe and now the world has shut down. But this was sort of a pre-bachelor party, if that's a thing. My fiance and I aren't getting married till next April. And I was having a conversation with some guys and they were like, these guys are married with kids and are really looking forward to bachelor parties and things that get them out of the house. And they were like, what would be your ideal bachelor party? What do you want to do? And I was like, it'd be cool to get some guys and go to England and, go to a soccer match over there. And they were like, let's do it. And I was like, well, that's expensive and it's a lot to ask of people. And they were like, well, it's your thing. Like, do what you want to do, but that would be fun. Ironically, only one of the guys that was part of that conversation actually came on the trip. But we did end up having 7 guys go. And so we flew to London. We spent a day, the whole night in London. We went up to Manchester. I'm a big Manchester United fan. Spent the day there, which is about a 3-hour train ride. Went to a match on Sunday. It was actually the last game of the season, which was cool to be at because all the teams play at the same time and whatnot. And they had a really bad season, but it was still fun. And then came back another night in London and then flew back. So it was like 5 days in total. Quick trip, but a lot of fun. And it was great. I mean, I did not expect that many guys to be able to go. And, not only the cost, but leaving family and kids and stuff at home. But I really appreciate it. It was good. We had good weather, which the other times I'd been to England, it was very stereotypical English weather.
I was going to say, I didn't know they had good weather.
Yeah, right. There. I guess the end of or the middle of May is probably the key time to go. But a lot of fun. And we did not sleep a lot. There was a good amount of drinking. And what you might expect. Nice steak dinner one night. I will say the steak over there, like if you go to a nice steakhouse in the States, it's completely different. Like way better here. Okay. The food was good, don't get me wrong, but like you're paying basically the same amount, but the steak is just it's much more mediocre. The rest of the food was really good, like the appetizers and the sides and everything, but we all kind of left like that was just okay steak and but I guess a good experience. Now I know.
What is
as the music nerd in the studio, I'm saying to you, how dare you go to England and leave right before the Oasis reunion?
Yeah, well, I've talked with Adam Jardy about this, who is...
Adam and I have talked about this a bit.
Yeah, I think he's like 8 days out from headed to Wales. He posted about it on Twitter yesterday, so the countdown is on. But he said the same thing. I was like, well, they weren't playing.
They're in Manchester tonight, yeah.
Yeah, they are... they're Manchester City people, though, so that's like... Browns, Bengals. No, I like Oasis fine. Have no issue there. But Adam has said the same thing.
I will be at Oasis at the Rose Bowl later on this summer.
Of you.
I am very, very excited.
I had 5 tries to get in that, and I didn't get a single one.
Hopefully they're still together at that point, right? All right, so what is going to a Premier League football game, we'll call it, like? Because I think that's, you and I are actually going to talk about some of our favorite sporting events we've both covered and attended as fans later during the show. But a dream of mine is to go over to England and watch a Premier League game, probably Manchester United right at the top of my list. So what's that like?
The closest thing I can compare it to, and this I think a lot of people listening will be able to relate, is college football. Okay. Because at least in places like Manchester, I can't speak to, there's a bunch of teams in London, and I'm assuming it's a little different there, but it's like everybody is about the game. And it's a little different. Like, people don't all wear jerseys and things. That's not as big of a deal over there. People do, especially nowadays. But you can just, there's a feel in the city. Scarves are big over there and whatnot. So, like, everything is focused, especially as you get closer to the stadium. Like, think about it here as you on a Ohio State game day, as you move closer to campus, and just like the cars coming in, people in scarlet and gray, and it's just like got this really cool small town feel. And I know Columbus isn't that way necessarily, but it feels that way on campus, right? Like, everyone is there for one purpose, and that's to cheer on the Buckeyes. And it's the same thing over there. We actually got to go to a game at Wembley a couple of years ago when they were playing in the FA Cup semifinal, and that is in London. And that was, both teams kind of converging on this. And I don't know. It's, I guess, like a bowl game, a college football playoff game or something, a neutral site. It's different. The singing and the chanting, and you're walking in. There's at Manchester United specifically, there are these 2 pubs, we'll call them, right by the stadium. One of which is only open on game days because they make enough money.
That's so sweet.
And it just gets packed in there. And the back room are these same guys. Like I said, I think we've been there 4 times. It's the same like group of guys that just constant chants on repeat. And there's like an outside area, and so it's definitely like I said, the closest, it's a unique experience. The closest thing is probably college football. But the one thing that is really strange, you can't eat or drink in the stands during the game. So I think it's a safety, they don't want people throwing things, and, hooliganism and whatnot. So at halftime, everybody goes out to the concourse, and it's like, get your pies, get your beer. Like, people are slamming 3 beer. It almost is counterintuitive because people just... The bathroom lines are crazy long.
When you say pies, we're talking meat pies, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And they do have some other stuff too, but that's the big thing over there. So, it's a unique experience. Even if you're not a soccer football fan, something I would definitely recommend if you're over there. Joey Kaufman, who covers Ohio State for the Columbus Dispatch, not a big soccer guy, but he and his now wife were over there recently and went to, I think, a Tottenham match, which I did not approve of. But, and even when he came back, said, like, that was one of the cooler sporting experiences I've been to. And now he's a Tottenham fan, unfortunately.
All right, I'm sold. Nate, are you sold back there? I think that was a really nice pitch by Pat.
It was a pretty decent one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fired up. I need to get over there. My brother's a huge Liverpool fan, too. So
I like your brother.
I'd love to go over and check that scene out.
Yeah, and look, the nice thing, too, is a lot of the games, if you can get tickets, it's weird because there's not the legal secondary market like there is over here. It does exist. There is like a StubHub UK, but the tickets are not verified resale or whatever. So if you can get tickets, they are generally much more affordable than over here. And that's actually a big thing that's been talked about in England in particular as ticket prices have gone up. There's fans revolting to this. And it's like, well, to go to a game, like the biggest games are like £97. It's like, that's just a normal NFL game here, and you're not even sitting in good seats. So it is affordable. I would strongly recommend it if you ever find yourself over there and a match happens to be going on.
So one of the things I'm hearing about in soccer right now is this Club World Cup. Yeah. Like, where do you stand on that? Because I'm in a group chat with lots of big soccer fans. I'm not necessarily a big soccer fan myself. Like, I'll watch, I like it. I like the World Cup and things like that. But I've heard this tournament is a joke to some.
Yeah, it's new. So they've had something similar before. Way back, I think it was just 4 teams from different continents, and then they expanded to 8, and now it's this big, almost regular World Cup size tournament with, allegedly the best club teams in the world.
It sounds good in theory.
Yes, and I think there are definitely ways that they will learn from this. They're having it in the United States to prepare for the World Cup next summer. I think in other countries, it probably would be better received. Like, there's been a lot of stadiums, you're talking middle of the day on a weekday in a country that isn't massively invested in soccer, right? So you've gotten some games that have had no one there, and you've gotten some games that have been, I know there were a couple down in Miami that were just nuts with some of the South American fans coming up and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's a good idea in principle. Another issue is that the games aren't all televised. They're on this streaming, I think it's DSAN or something.
Seems problematic.
Yeah, and you can do like a free trial, but you have to put your credit card in, and I'm like,
Dawson? Are you
yes,
talking?
that's what
Dawson.
it is, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will forget to cancel that. So I've just watched some of the ones that have been on TV, and the biggest issue, I think, is that these guys are playing too many games. So you go your whole season, you also play with your national team throughout the year, getting, qualifying for the World Cup and other tournaments, and now they're playing in this tournament that is after the season when they normally are on vacation and things like that. So is everyone giving it their all, those type of things? There's still a lot to figure out, but it is an interesting idea.
All right.
Plus, weren't they charging like hundreds of dollars
initially
for some of these?
Yeah, it's all a little bit crazy. Like I said, I like everything in theory, but we're early in the process. We'll see how it develops over time.
Yeah,
because I think it could be fun.
I would say I'd be way more invested in it if the Crew had gotten in.
Yeah.
Which I still contend that they should have. The United States Soccer Federation basically just put Miami in because they have Messi. That's not the reason they used, but that was, and like, that's probably financially the better package. But I think I would have been more invested if the Crew had been involved.
All right. That's official. We're protesting the Club World Cup. Crew's not in. Soccer off the board, guys. I love talking soccer right off the top, but we got to talk NHL next because we're in the midst of one of the biggest weeks of the National Hockey League season. The NHL Draft is going on right now. We'll talk about the first round that happened last night. Coming up next, it's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State Athletics, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
This is a jackpot alert. The Ohio Lottery's Powerball jackpot is up to $155 million. Powerball jackpots are growing faster than ever. Drawings are every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So what are you waiting for? Get your Powerball ticket today.
Check it.
And remember, Keno Double Booster is back every Monday in June. For all Keno tickets with Booster purchased between 3 and 5 o'clock, the booster will be doubled. Your winnings could be boosted by as much as 20 times. Don't miss out. Play today. Lottery players are subject to commission laws and regulations. Play responsibly.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
Here's a milestone not just in Reds history, but all of baseball. On this June 28th, back in 1869, the year of the first professional team, the Cincinnati Red Stockings, the catcher for that team, Doug Allison, wore a glove. This may have been the first time any player ever did that. When baseball began, everyone played barehanded. But in late June of '69, Allison suffered a sore hand, and on June 28th, he showed up with a pair of buckskin mittens, more like a pair of work gloves than what we think of as a baseball glove. It would take several more years for gloves to become popular throughout baseball, but a glimpse of the future this June 28, 1869, this date in Red Stockings baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Master Grillers Unite.
The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated.
Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Select varieties or buy 2, get 2 free with your card. Limit 8. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
The champs are back. Ohio State football returns to the Shoe this fall with powerhouse matchups against Texas, Penn State, and more. Your Buckeye Saturdays begin at ohiostatebuckeyes.com, where you can grab single game tickets that are on sale now. Gear up and get ready for game day.
Hello, big voice guy here. I've been hired to tell you all about the Fan's YouTube channel. Did you know you can immerse yourself in Buckeye goodness like Austin and Berm's daily podcast, The Beat? Yes, sirree, Bob. Subscribe today.
Going up. Prices keep going up these days. It feels like being on an elevator that only goes up. Going up. But not at Metro. We're pushing the down button. Going down. We've lowered prices. Get one line of 5G data for $40, period. That's 20% lower. And you get a free Samsung 5G phone when you bring your number. Only at Metro.
5-year guarantee on eligible plans. Exclusions apply. See website for details. Not available at Metro with T-Mobile in the past 6 months. Tax applies.
Hi, this is Bob Mashetter from Dick Mashetter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at mashetterford.net. Thanks.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof, every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Ben Sadler, Assistant Vice President, Commercial Lending, on what makes First Bank of Central Ohio successful.
What we do as a community bank is really, listening to, that company, finding the solutions that best need their business and is not just a universal product that you could get anywhere else.
Experience what it's like to be first at First Bank of Central Ohio. Visit fbcentralohio.com for more details. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for today. We are expecting partly cloudy skies. A couple pop-up showers and storms are possible here during the afternoon with the heating of the day. We'll see high temperatures into the upper 80s, but it will feel like it's closer to 90 here with muggy conditions around. We'll keep that in the forecast here for Sunday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs around 90, but a few pop-up showers and storms are possible once again in the afternoon. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
Here's a quick 10-second reminder that the Buckeyes have won the Natty. Also, we are all the games, and we always will. Thank you. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
I'm a tired man this morning. I'm also energized, though. NHL Draft last night. We were on the air for 4 hours and 15 minutes or so on The Fan covering the Blue Jackets draft yesterday evening. So that's a little bit why I'm tired, but I'm energized because I love what the Blue Jackets were able to do. Not just that, but the NHL Draft, you're seeing players' dreams come true. Like, did you catch any clips last night of the number one overall pick, Matthew Schaefer, and how emotional it was for him?
Yeah, I actually just pulled up on NHL.com just to have the full draft, first round of the draft, and the front page is just him, like you said, emotional, and as you should be when something like that happens for you.
So it's an even more special thing for a guy like Matthew Schaefer. He lost his mother when he was 16 years old. She passed away from breast cancer. So it was an extremely emotional scene for Schaefer. I believe his brother was there and his father was there. There were tears. Some really nice touches by the New York Islanders, too, that they surprised him. They put his mom's initials inside the jersey. They put the cancer ribbon on the jersey, which was a surprise to him. He gave that a kiss when he put the jersey on. So some really nice touches by the Islanders that made it a very emotional moment, but just so cool to see guys' dreams come true. It was a new thing for the NHL last night. They did a decentralized draft, which, I think if you're out there listening, you're like, well, the NBA does it that way. The NFL does it that way. It's kind of the typical draft format now, but it was new for the NHL in that every year they pick an NHL host city. Everybody from the league converges on that city. They've got 32 tables on the arena floor. General managers are able to chat with each other, make trades. They walk between tables, call between tables. They're there to meet the prospects. All of that went away this year. And Don Waddell, the Blue Jackets general manager, talked about it after the draft yesterday, and he said, I think it was more difficult to make trades this year because you're not there with the guys. So not a whole lot going on in terms of players for picks last night. There were a couple pick-for-pick trades last night, but definitely just a different look for the NHL. And, I think the one thing that they want to dial in going forward is get that timing down. The first round took a little bit longer than usual, about 4.5 hours. So I saw some complaints from people online about that. Some of the insiders from the NHL were talking about how long it was taking. But, overall, I think a cool new experience. Were you able to catch any of it on TV?
Yeah, I watched some of it, and I like the idea. I think it's at least worth...
It's like the Club World Cup. You got to refine it, right?
Yes, exactly. I think it's worth trying some things out and seeing what happens. I think drafts in general have become such an event that, you talked about the NFL and moving it around and having, we've seen the vast number of fans that show up to these things, and it's not even a game, right? It's just these kids living out their dreams. So a neat idea for sure. Do you have a favorite pick, a team that you think really hit it out of the park? Any of that?
Well, I think the Islanders came away really nicely. They got the number 1 overall pick in Matthew Schaefer. They added some skill up front, and they also added another big defenseman in Kashan Aitchison that I was interested in the Blue Jackets taking too. Just a big body, not afraid to drop the gloves, lay a hit, very physical, competitive player. So honestly, I think the Islanders did some really nice work. They traded Noah Dobson, one of their better defensemen earlier in the day, one of the better defensemen in the NHL. But they recoup some assets, and they're able to make some nice picks there. So I'm intrigued by what the Islanders did, but I also really like what the Blue Jackets did. They had the 14th overall pick and the 20th overall pick. At 14, they were able to select Tri-City Americans defenseman Jackson Smith, 6'4" left shot defenseman, really known for his mobility. He's a great skater. I was able to watch a little video of him last night, and some of the stuff he's able to do on his feet is really unbelievable. Had a nice season production-wise in the WHL this year, 54 points, 11 goals, and 43 assists in 68 games, which is really nice from the blue line. And we'll have an opportunity to meet him next week at Blue Jackets development camp, which is really one of my favorite things about, the draft and development camp. It's an opportunity to meet these guys in person. And, last night we had an opportunity to chat with him. He talked about what it was like to be drafted by the Blue Jackets. I think Nate's got that queued up back there.
As the picture going off, I was a little started getting in my own head a bit. I was like, am I going to fall out of the first round? I don't know. I was just kind of in my own head a little bit, but, once my name was called, it was definitely a relief. And, coming to Columbus, it's incredible. I played with Charlie like this year, so kind of get to know the organization a little bit throughout the year. But yeah, I thought my meetings went well with them. I actually didn't talk to them a whole bunch throughout the year, so I was a little surprised when I got drafted by them. But I'm just super grateful to be drafted by them.
Yeah, he was just a great kid. I think that's something that the Blue Jackets have done a really good job of the last few years, is just drafting high quality, high character people. We had an opportunity to interview him on the video board at Nationwide Arena. He almost had like a prepared statement for the crowd there. I was like, this guy's a politician ready to rock, but people were excited to see him. He was very excited to know that people were happy he was drafted by the Blue Jackets, so fired up to meet him. And he'll actually be playing at Penn State next season. So with all these guys, with the new rules where guys can play in the CHL and then go play NCAA hockey, he's going to do that. So he played in the WHL last year. And now he'll be playing at Penn State next season. So an opportunity to see him in Columbus. I'm sure people are pumped up about.
I think that's obviously a unique thing for hockey, for baseball. You can draft these guys while they're. I mean, I assume it happens in hockey too, but in baseball, obviously, sometimes they're still in high school even.
Yeah.
So it is different from those other sports where, okay, you draft the guy, he's in your organization, and you hope that he starts to pan out, right? Whereas in this situation, you're going to get to watch him from afar, and like you said, he'll be in Columbus. Just changes kind of the perspective on things. And I know the goalkeeper they drafted, you said, was going to probably stay in Russia here for a little while, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. You have him on you have his rights, I guess is how they do it. And then, but he's going to go stay in his home country and play over there until he's ready to move to the NHL?
Yeah, so with the 20th pick, the Blue Jackets drafted Pyotr Andrianov, a goaltender from Russia, which maybe is seen as a little bit of a reach, but as I was talking with you before we hopped on, with these Russian prospects, you never really know. He's the first goaltender off the board, so the Blue Jackets had to really like him, right? He was the number 1 rated international goalie, 6'2", 207 pounds. From everything that I've read about Pyotr Andrianov, he's just an incredible athlete. He's unflappable. We talked about him with the Blue Jackets goaltending coach Nick Backstrom last night, and he said that at the Russian Combine, one of the agents that represents a lot of these Russian prospects has started hosting a Russian Combine in Florida before the draft. And he said that, a lot of the prospects there were drawn to Andrianov, just the type of guy he was. The Blue Jackets were able to meet with him, and they liked him as a person. They thought he was very impressive. And he also said that he's going to be coming over for development camp. So I think that's a little bit rare in that he's a Russian goalie. He's in the States right now, I believe, in Florida, and he's going to be making the trip to Blue Jackets development camp, which is pretty cool. So we'll get to see him this week, too. He is under contract in Russia, so it could be a while until you see him, but he is prospectively making the trip to Columbus. So I think that's a win, too, to get him into the organization early to kind of see what it's like to be in the NHL and see what Columbus is like.
Yeah, unflappable and athletic are two things I think you like with a goaltender. So right. That's a good place to start, at least with a young guy.
We've got more on the NHL draft coming up. The Blue Jackets didn't just pick players yesterday. They also made a couple of trades. Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood coming in from Colorado. A couple of players going out, too, so we'll break that down. We'll also be chatting with Jackets insider Jeff Svodoba coming up. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Cheer on your Redlegs when they battle the Miami Marlins July 7th through the 10th. Don't miss another Budweiser 3-2-1 Tuesday featuring $3 beers, $2 hot dogs, and $1 ice cream cups. Plus, on Thursday, July 10th, rock out with country music act Old Dominion when they take the field for an Ohio Lottery post-game concert free to fans with a game ticket. Visit Reds.com/tickets today.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like and sometimes it's like
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with ONE+. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Catch T-Bone and Tyvis weekday mornings from 6 to 9. If you're not completely satisfied, we'll rewind time and erase your brain. For real, The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Off and running on Saturday, June 28th. We're talking NHL Draft and more specifically what the Columbus Blue Jackets were able to do yesterday. Dylan Tyrer, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh coming at you. So the Blue Jackets made a couple of trades prior to the draft. Daniil Tarasov, goaltender, going from the Blue Jackets to the Florida Panthers for a fifth-round pick. I think that's some nice work done by Don Waddell. It looks like the Blue Jackets goaltending situation next year, with Tarasov, was not going to involve him. Jet Greaves came up at the end of the season. Looked like he earned himself an opportunity to be a full-time NHLer, and of course Elvis Merzlikins is under contract too. So Tarasov, the odd man out, and the Blue Jackets are able to recoup a pick for him. Kind of a cool story for Tarasov. He's now going to back up Sergei Bobrovsky. They're both from the same town in Russia, Novokuznetsk. So Sergei Bobrovsky's favorite player growing up was Daniil Tarasov's father. Daniil Tarasov's favorite player growing up was Sergei Bobrovsky. So a pretty cool situation. Good story they've got going on there. The Blue Jackets also made a minor trade, sending AHL forward Cam Butler to Minnesota in return for Brendan Gaunce. Gaunce beginning his second stint now with the Blue Jackets. He was a guy that saw some time a few years ago. He's one of those options that can go, between the AHL, the NHL, give you good minutes in both places, and plus he's a very quality veteran leader. So a nice addition there. And then the big move yesterday before the draft, the Blue Jackets trade prospect Gavin Brindley, a second-round pick and a third-round pick to the Colorado Avalanche for Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood. What they get in Charlie Coyle is a big body, right shot. He can play down the middle or on the wing. Lots of experience. Don't believe he's ever missed the playoffs in his NHL career, so some good pedigree there. About a 40 to 50-point player, so he's going to contribute 15, 20 goals a season and probably work best on the Blue Jackets' third line. Miles Wood is a dog-on-a-bone style player, extremely fast. He's physical, in your face, a big body at 6'2", right around 200 pounds, and he does have some goal scoring in his past. He's had a quiet couple of seasons in Colorado, 26 points in 2023-2024. Didn't play a full season last year, had 8 points in 37 games. With New Jersey prior to that, he was between 10 and 20 goals every season, so a nice ad for the Blue Jackets there, really solidifying, their bottom six. I like what they were able to do, and Don Waddell talked about those additions yesterday.
Well, first, we were looking for a right shot, whether center or right wing, someone that can win faceouts on the right side. We're naturally all left-handed with Monahan, Fantilli, Sillinger, and last year with Sean. So it was started the summer off saying we need to address this. We were not good from the face-off dots from the right side. So, and then Miles Wood brings energy to our team. He can play bottom six positions, either third, fourth line, plays hard. He's one of the guys that skates really well and gets in on the forecheck. So, these type of players, you need them up and down the lineup, and we thought this is just a good fit and a price that we're willing to pay.
So when you hear that, Pat, what do you think in terms of what the Blue Jackets were able to do?
I think it all sounds good on paper, right? Yeah. And look, this time of year, you and I were talking before the show, like this time of year, that's what it's about, right? You want optimism.
Yes.
As a fan base, as an organization. And I think there are times in an offseason where, hey, standing pat, make your picks, just kind of go through the motions is the right thing to do. But I think when you're the Blue Jackets, you've got cap space, plenty of cap space from my understanding.
The second most in the NHL.
Yeah, so you've got some room there. You've got pieces to move. You're a relatively young team. Okay, let's see what you can do. And I think that they have been aggressive, which I like. Obviously, we're going to have to wait to see how this plays out. I know I read some things online that were saying, maybe they've overpaid or they kind of let Colorado out of sort of a bad situation. But I think from a Blue Jackets perspective, you don't worry about what Colorado's doing, right? If you like these guys and you think they make your team better next year, you make the move, and if it's good for Colorado too, fine. I mean, that's on their side of things. So yeah, we'll wait and see, but I think it makes sense to try and make some moves now and be aggressive in the offseason.
No, you're right about that, and that free agency opens on July 1st. Mm-hmm. The Blue Jackets still have an opportunity to add there. I understand if there's some disappointment in not making a huge move. Don Waddell had talked about trading those first-round picks, but there just wasn't really a whole lot out there in the NHL. You know, there were rumors around Jordan Kyrou from St. Louis, rumors around Jason Robertson from Dallas, among many other players. As it turns out, the big move yesterday was Noah Dobson from the Islanders to Montreal. The Blue Jackets were in on it, but the price was a little bit too steep, according to Don Waddell. So they backed off of that. Instead, they don't trade either one of their first-round picks. They make those selections, and they still get better in adding 2 roster players that have playoff experience, that add size to this team. I just really think the Blue Jackets have solidified their bottom 6, which is tremendous. When it comes down to it, though, you know, the guys that are going to make the Blue Jackets a Stanley Cup contender eventually are already on the team. They're the Adam Fantillis of the world, the Kent Johnsons of the world, Zach Werenski, obviously, Kirill Marchenko, et cetera, et cetera. They already have those players, and they're banking on them continuing to make steps in their NHL career, which we saw last season and which Charlie Coyle says he's very excited about.
Pretty excited. I love what they're doing there. And so I'm pretty pumped to be a part of it. And their team's been trending up for years now. And I hear nothing but good things about the area, living there, playing there. It's a hard building to come into play. That cannon, it'll be good to be on the right side of that. That's pretty much the only thing my buddies and family and everyone's talking about is the cannon. So I'm a big cannon guy now. And but I'm excited to join the team. That it's you can just tell there's a lot of good coming, and a lot of good that's already come from these teams the last couple of years, especially last year. And I just want to do my part to come in and fit in with the team and bring what I can bring to help out and help them win a little more. And it's always a team effort, but this is a team that's, again, come together even more and has used that and become closer to achieve, making playoffs and beyond. And that's the goal.
So what do you think about that from Charlie Coyle? Like, obviously you're going to say you're excited coming somewhere, but he brings up some points in that, he likes what's in that room. It's been a hard place to play. Always that cannon talk too, which I know people really like. But I just like the statement from Charlie Coyle in that, I feel like now people around the NHL, players around the NHL do feel like something's brewing in Columbus.
I agree. And I think not only on the ice, but you heard him talk about Columbus as a city. And I think you hear that in a lot of sports when people come here. It's a place that you can make your home after playing days. But more specifically, getting, as you were talking about, a veteran guy who has experience, adding to a young core, I think is important in any sport. And I think he said all the right things for sure. And as you said, you're not going to come on and trash the team you just got traded to. But there are things that he knows about the team. He knows about this group. You can tell that from his statements there. So I think you want to read into that enough. Maybe not everything he says just because it is new and he's excited, but I think that it sounds positive again, and I think that's all you can ask for this time of year.
You brought up the point about Columbus being, a destination for some guys now, and I really think Johnny Gaudreau signing here changed that. That's something we talked about a lot last night. Johnny Gaudreau signs in Columbus because he wants to be close to family and he wants to be in a place that is good and comfortable for raising a young family. Obviously, tragedy happens, but his good friend Sean Monahan follows him there, and Sean said at the end of the season that Columbus already feels like a forever home for him, like he would stay here afterwards. Something I didn't mention earlier is that Meredith Gaudreau is who announced the Blue Jackets picks last night, which was extremely emotional. She's an absolutely incredible woman, so strong, but she's stuck around Columbus to raise her kids here around some of these other Blue Jackets families. So I think Johnny signing in Columbus has done so much for the city and just the perception of the franchise, and that, this narrative is here now that Columbus is a good place to raise a family. It's a good place if you want more of a low-key lifestyle where there's so many of these big markets around the NHL that players are trying to get away from. Maybe Columbus is a place for you. So I love that perception is there now, and Charlie Coyle is just another one of these guys that is saying Columbus is a nice place to be, and he's fired up to be here. We've got more on the Blue Jackets coming up. The team reporter, Jeff Svodoba, will be joining us in just a little bit to break down these moves, the draft picks, and so much more. That is coming up next. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Let's be honest, we could all use a little vacation from the ordinary. But with Tim Hortons' new refreshers, you don't need to pack your bags. Just sip, relax, and enjoy your refreshing 16-ounce vacation. With tropical mango packed with real pineapple and mango pieces. And strawberry watermelon kiwi featuring real pieces of strawberry and kiwi. Also, try it with lemonade or coconut milk. A choose-your-own taste bud adventure. Head to Tim's for the new refreshers. Your 16-ounce vacation awaits. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants.
This is a jackpot alert. The Ohio Lottery's Powerball jackpot is up to $155 million. Powerball jackpots are growing faster than ever. Drawings are every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So what are you waiting for? Get your Powerball ticket today.
Check it.
And remember, Keno Double Booster is back every Monday in June. For all Keno tickets with Booster purchased between 3 and 5 o'clock, the booster will be doubled. Your winnings could be boosted by as much as 20 times. Don't miss out. Play today. Lottery players are subject to commission laws and regulations. Play responsibly.
This 4th of July, Bob's Discount Furniture is bringing back 4 for the 4th. Spotlighting 4 must-have trendsetters for $7.99 and under, like my farmhouse chic Calvin bedroom, Playday sectional with pop-up sleeper and hidden storage, Consumer Reports recommended treasure mattress, and my 5-star Betty dining set in 4 gorgeous colors. So stop in or visit mybobs.com and celebrate 4 for the 4th. Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture. This summertime, it's Modelo time. Whether you're poolside or curbside, kick it with an ice cold Modelo. Time to fire up the grill and turn up. Time to reach for a crisp Modelo or the refreshing lime and salt flavors of Modelo Chelada. Time to raise one to summer, and time to stock up on Modelo before summer is gone. Drink responsibly. Beer and flavored beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Get summer blockbuster savings at Coghlan Kia, Central Ohio's largest volume Kia dealer. Right now, take up to $6,000 off MSRP on any new Kia in stock. Plus, get free maintenance for a full year when you buy. Get any new Kia with up to $6,000 off MSRP. Visit CoglanKia.com.
Largest Kia dealer based on current ground stock at all 4 Coghlan Kia locations. 2025 Kia Sorento XY. MSRP $47,990. $3,000 Coghlan discount. $3,000 factory rebate. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. N7725.
He shoots. He scores! No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
The Fan is the official station of summertime. Sipping on a lemonade, the smell of fresh-cut grass in the air, and Common Man playing fart noises on the radio.
Was that a fart?
Ah, summer. The Fan, Ohio's summer destination.
When you're a AAA member, we do the hard stuff for you. So, picture this. You're taking a road trip through the mountains at night, and you run out of gas. Do you, A, call AAA, or B, walk 29 miles to the nearest gas station in the pouring rain?
A?
On the plus side, get more with AAA. Go to AAA.com/plus side.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Discover uncompromising quality at a reliable price with Giant Eagle in Market District. Look for signs throughout the store highlighting lower prices. Surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle. Experience value like never before. Visit Giant Eagle today to see how easy it is to save.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate
today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
I can't wait to meet her. Oh my gosh.
Put your hands together for new Dr. Pepper Blackberry and Dr. Pepper Blackberry Zero Sugar.
There she is! Woohoo! Yeah! It's full Dr. Pepper!
With sweet blackberry flavor!
Dr. Pepper Blackberry, I'm obsessed with your succulent taste. Please marry me!
No! Marry me! Marry me, or I'm gonna freak out!
Try new Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
It's a pepper thing!
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Sticking with our NHL Draft talk, we've got a special guest joining us, a buddy of both mine and Pat's. Team reporter for the Columbus Blue Jackets, Jeff Svodoba. Jeffy boy, how's it going?
Pretty good, Dylan. How are you today?
I'm good. I led off our last segment saying that I'm a little bit tired from everything that went on last night. The first round of that draft really dragged on, but I'm also energized by what the Blue Jackets were able to do in adding both Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood before the draft, and of course adding two quality prospects in Jackson Smith and Pyotr Andrianov during the draft. So I guess that's where we'll start. Generally, what'd you like? What didn't you like? How do you feel about what the Blue Jackets were able to accomplish yesterday?
I was pretty happy with how it all shook out. I know, there's some disappointment out there. There was the talk about, adding Noah Dobson to the defense, the player that the Islanders traded to Montreal yesterday, and the Blue Jackets were in on that discussion. At the end of the day, it was too rich for their blood. The Islanders also chose to go the Montreal route. But from a flexibility standpoint, Noah Dobson's a good player. But you're going to have to give up a lot and sign him to a very long contract, very expensive contract. And so at the end of the day, the Blue Jackets pivot away from that, and they make the team better for next season, getting Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood, adds depth to the lineup, adds some veteran players. Charlie Coyle has been in this league for 13 years and is basically a 40 to 50 point guy every year. That's a pretty good guy to add as a center going down your lineup. And Miles Wood adds some energy, and you didn't have to trade a first round pick to do it. It doesn't really hurt you from a salary cap standpoint. So you still have a lot of flexibility to make some more moves before the season. And then with the draft, as Don Waddell said, and I would agree, if you just told them going in they were going to get Jackson Smith, who was a riser in this draft, a defenseman who I think most people thought would be off the board by the 14th pick, including the Blue Jackets, who I think really did not think they had any chance at him at 14. They were ecstatic with that. And then to get to add in the goalie, a long-term project, but you can never have enough goalies, and it's clear they love the kid. So you make two picks and feel pretty good about those picks as well. So, could it have been a better day, I guess, if the Dobson thing comes true and you add someone you think is maybe a potential superstar player on the back end? Yes, but did they get better, both for now and in the future? I think they did, and that's all you can ask on a day like that.
You had the opportunity to hear from Jackson Smith, Don Waddell, a bunch of different guys following the draft yesterday. So can you tell us a little bit more about Jackson and kind of what the expectation is for him as a player? And plus, Pat and I were talking about it earlier. It's pretty sweet that he'll be playing in the Big Ten.
Yeah, if you want to watch Blue Jackets prospects next year, a bunch of them are going to come through Columbus. The Big Ten's, going to almost be like a pseudo-professional league next season with all the talent that's going to be there, including two Blue Jackets first-round picks, with Caden Lindstrom from last year going to Michigan State and now Jackson Smith going to Penn State. You get with Jackson Smith a very talented blue liner. He can skate. They raved about his skating, said he's a 10 out of a 10 as a skater. And when you're 6'4", and you can skate like that, you're off to a pretty good start as a hockey player. There's talk. He's an 18-year-old defenseman. He's going to have to get better at some reads and thinking in the game and things like that. But that's pretty much every 18-year-old defenseman. The kid has some incredible tools and is going to be someone that you could see, big guys who can skate and add some offense from the blue line don't grow on trees. And so the Blue Jackets happy to add him and have him be someone who, not going to play in the NHL next year. But I would think that, maybe with his profile, someone who could be closer to the NHL than maybe some of the other guys that were drafted last night. And so, I think we've seen this Blue Jackets front office, really prioritize size, really prioritize improving the back end since they were taking over last summer, both last year's draft and this year's draft. And that's what they continued to do yesterday with Jackson Smith, who also seemed to be a pretty nice guy. Got the chance to chat with him. Said he's never been to Columbus. Looking forward to checking it out at development camp this upcoming week.
Jeff, good to talk with you. I miss you, man. You mentioned that the team gets better. I know there's more of the draft to come, but I also know free agency is on the horizon. Where do you think they look in free agency once that opens up?
Yeah, great to chat with you. Murphy only lives like a block away, and we never see each other. That's on me as much, I would say. But glad we're able to do this. Yeah. There's some options out there. It's not the biggest free agent class. The Blue Jackets do have the money to spend. And so if there is a contract that makes sense for them, and I would look, now that they've made this move, I would look probably at the defensive side of the ice. And, everyone talks about Mitch Marner, and would it be great to sign Mitch Marner? And, if Mitch Marner calls them tomorrow and says, I want to be a Blue Jacket, then he's probably going to be a Blue Jacket. But I also, frankly, don't expect Mitch Marner to make that phone call. And so, you've made your forward group better already with the moves that you've made. Now what can you do to improve the defense? There's talk out there about, maybe Vladislav Gavrikov returning. I would personally love that. I think he's a versatile player, defense first, and personality that I think Blue Jackets fans and those of us in the media really grew to love when he was here in Columbus the first time. So I think he would fit, but there's going to be a really strong market because it's not a very deep market on the defensive side. Aaron Ekblad, from the Stanley Cup champs, Florida Panthers is another name that's out there. He'd obviously be a fit, but he's going to have, a bunch of suitors as well. And you can also look back at your UFAs. I think the most likely of that group is a guy like Dante Fabro, who fit in very seamlessly with Zach Werenski last year. So, and I still think on the trade market, Don may have a move or two up his sleeves as well, because, the talk is that, with this not being the best free agent market, Don has said that, maybe the best way to improve this team would be via the trade market. And, he's the guy that's done this for 20 years, likes to make trades. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe even today, when you get into the second round of this draft, if there's players available and they're able to make something happen.
Jeff, talk to me about potentially adding a forward. This is the last thing from me, by the way. You said in free agency, maybe addressing the D-core, but a lot of people have talked about adding a top six winger with some size for the Blue Jackets. You brought up the name Mitch Marner, not necessarily size there. Nikolai Ehlers is another player out there. Do you see the Blue Jackets adding up front, or do you think they're kind of set with what they've got right now?
That's a good question, and we haven't asked Don Waddell that specifically. I think they're happy with what they did yesterday. And at the same token, obviously you're always looking to make your team better, and you still have a lot of salary cap space. And so, yeah, a guy like Ehlers would be an excellent addition for the Blue Jackets. A guy that has been a consistent scorer his entire time in the NHL and is going to get, a good contract, but probably not a big, break the bank type of contract. And so if you look at, talk about top six players, he's a guy that you would circle that is certainly out there. And so, it's all speculation at this point. You don't know where it's going to go. I think they're pleased. If nothing more were to happen, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I would say that, you're going to stay active. You're going to keep maybe looking to make these moves. I think, like I said, I think defense first right now, just because of, like I said, if you look at the last couple of years of this team, the biggest problem, the biggest reason they haven't been a playoff team is they've given up too many goals. And so you've got to address that in some way, shape, or form before the season starts. But, with the flexibility in the room that they have, the top six forward has been something that Don has talked about. And so, as you get to free agency, it starts, I believe, on Tuesday. That's out there. But, you got 3 more days to maybe make some moves before that happens. So I'm kind of intrigued to see where this goes. The great thing about yesterday is that they made their team better, I think, but they also left themselves a lot of options and a lot of flexibility to continue making this team better over the next, 3-4 days. And Don Waddell even says, going deeper into the offseason, you sign guys like James Van Riemsdyk, pretty close to the season a year ago. They still got a lot of time to keep adding to this team, and I think they're going to do that.
Jeff, what would you say if I told you Pat is wearing a St. Louis Cardinals jersey right now?
I would 100% believe that, first of all, knowing Pat. And you know what? He gets to brag after last night. The big question is, will my Guardians score a run against the Cardinals this weekend?
I have a cookout, so to speak, later with some Guardians friends. So I'm going straight there from this. And I was like, well, I'm definitely going to troll them after last night. One of them I was supposed to go to the game with. We talked about going to one of the games this weekend, but it didn't work out. So got to give them a little stuff here while I can.
Hey, you have the bragging rights after last night, and it's a tough scene right now in Cleveland. They're maybe the least enjoyable 500 team in Major League Baseball, but you know what? There's a lot of baseball to play. Maybe they turn it around.
All right, Jeff, we appreciate you stopping by. Have fun the rest of the day.
All right, enjoy the cookout, Pat.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Good talk with you.
All right, that's Jackets insider Jeff Svodoba. He is the team reporter for the Columbus Blue Jackets and a massive, maybe the biggest Cleveland Guardians fan I know, which is perfect because we're talking Major League Baseball next. Halfway through the MLB season, I was doing a little statistical deep dive yesterday. We might see a triple crown on both the bump and at the plate in the American League. We'll talk about that next. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
Get blockbuster savings at Coughlin Ford. 5-time winner of the Ford President's Award. Get employee pricing on new F-150s. $10,000 off MSRP on new 25s or $13,000 off new 24 models. Shop the fastest growing Ford dealership in Central Ohio. From America, for America. Visit CoughlinFord.com.
Based on YTD sales and ground stock. All factory rebates to dealer. All prior sales excluded. In-stock units only. Must finance through Ford Motor Credit. Not all will qualify. No security deposit required. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. N7725.
Get Eco.
ECO. Hey, Jerry, I think I invented something. Does it solve a problem? It solves a big problem.
Get Eco.
ECO. Heating and cooling companies are telling people your furnace and AC isn't worth fixing. You need to replace it with a whole new system.
You invented a solution for that?
I invented a way to fix those systems for free.
Get Eco.
ECO.
That's a great invention. How does it work?
Step 1 is to pay Eco to fix it.
I thought you said you'd fix it for free.
Step 2 is that we give you back all the money that you paid us, up to $1,500 when you get Eco to replace it.
Get Eco.
ECO.
What if your repair keeps my system running for several more years?
That would mean you got all those extra years for free.
Paying Eco to fix your AC system is like putting money in the bank.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Get Eco.
ECO. Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Get Eco.com.
The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer are a great way to stock up on all your 4th of July celebration supplies. Buy 5 or more and save $5 or more when you mix or match hundreds of items, like 24 packs of select Coca-Cola and Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable. Oscar Mayer Classic Beef Franks, Kraft Shredded or Chunk Cheese, Dole Chopped or Premium Salad Kits, and Dixie Family Pack plates, bowls, or hot cups. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer. That's the good life. A good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Ben Sadler, Assistant Vice President, Commercial Lending, on what makes First Bank of Central Ohio successful.
What we do as a community bank is really, listening to, that company, finding the solutions that best need their business and is not just a universal product that you could get anywhere else.
Experience what it's like to be first at First Bank of Central Ohio. Visit fbcentralohio.com for more details. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
A healthy body needs good food. This summer, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is sponsoring Sun Meals, a summer food program where kids eat free. Children under 18 receive healthy meals and no sign-up is required. Locations may be right in your neighborhood. Call 1-866-348-6479 or visit education.ohio.gov/kidseat for meal locations and times. That's education.ohio.gov/kidseat.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And
I'm Nate Puterball. It was a busy night for the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. Before the NHL draft, they made a deal sending Gavin Brindley and a pick to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for forwards Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood. Then in the NHL draft, they selected defenseman Jackson Smith with the 14th overall pick and Russian goaltender Peter Andreanov at number 20. Last night in Cincinnati, the Reds beat up on the Padres 8-1. Nick Martinez took a no-hit bid into the 9th inning, and Spencer Steer blasted 3 home runs for the Reds. Game 2 of their series comes your way at 4:10 this afternoon with Andrew Abbott of the Reds taking on Randy Vasquez. Catch the action right here on The Fan. And in Cleveland, the St. Louis Cardinals blanked the Guardians 5-0 behind a dominant 1-hit, 11-strikeout complete game by Sonny Gray. They'll square off again today at 4:10. Bringing sports news what happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Dylan Tyrer, Pat Murphy, Nate Puterbaugh with you as we begin hour number 2. Shifting our focus over to baseball now. We've got Brian Giesenschlag coming up. He's the pre- and post-game host on TV for the Cincinnati Reds, who are hot right now, winners of 4 of their last 5. But, guys, I wanted to chat with you because we're essentially at the halfway point of the Major League Baseball season, which is honestly unbelievable. I play fantasy baseball, and it feels like I've been doing it for already 365 days, and we're not even halfway through. Well, we are halfway through now, the Major League Baseball season. So what a grind MLB is. Hey, have you ever worked in baseball, either one of you guys? Or
I have not, no.
Yeah, I've done a little.
No baseball here.
Done a little minor league baseball, and it is it's tough, man. You're out there every single day, and baseball's baseball, right? It's not the fastest sport in the world by any means, but you're out there, and I mean, they're trying to make baseball a little bit more exciting now with the pitch clock and everything, which I really appreciate. Like, I'll call some Clippers games every summer, and the addition of the pitch clock has really changed things. Like, I really enjoy the pitch clock, and I think it's changed baseball for the better.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to a game as a fan after they did the pitch clock, and we get to the top of the 9th inning, and I was like, wait, is it really? Are we there already? This doesn't, timing-wise, this does not make sense. But no, I do think, look, I enjoy baseball for what it is, but I do think it helps more casual viewers to get in. You're going to be in roughly the same amount of time as opposed to before when it sometimes dragged out a little bit.
So I think, me being a sports fan, and I'm sure it works the same way with you guys, like, I've always been a big-time stats nerd for whatever reason. Like, I loved looking at the box scores in the newspaper growing up. I still love going on Baseball Reference and looking at, J.D. Drew's 2004 season, things like that. I just love doing that across the sports landscape. So, I found myself doing that this week, kind of looking across Major League Baseball right now at some of the different stats, and I'm kind of looking at the American League. Aaron Judge, obviously, leading in batting average at .358. He's right there when it comes to hitting the ball out of the park. 28 home runs this season. Aaron Judge, second in RBIs behind Cal Raleigh with 63. And get to thinking, it smells a little bit like a triple crown could be brewing in the American League. And then I go on over to the pitching side of things, and there are 3 guys really in the conversation for a pitching triple crown. Max Fried, Hunter Brown, and Garrett Crochet are the guys right there when it comes to the strikeouts, the ERA, wins. Garrett Crochet lacking a little bit, but right now, Max Fried leads the American League with 10 wins. He's second in ERA with a 1.92 earned run average, and he's 5th with 104 strikeouts. So if he were to win a pitching triple crown, he'd need to get it going a little bit more with the strikeouts. But Hunter Brown for the Astros is right there in that mix as well. And, of course, Garrett Crochet is too. He leads the AL with 135 strikeouts, and he's 3rd with a 2.06 ERA. My question for you guys, will we see a triple crown this season, whether it's at the plate or on the bump? What are we thinking?
I mean, it's hard to say yes because it's such a difficult thing to do on either side. Look, Aaron Judge is obviously a freak when it comes to physical ability and what he can do hitting the ball. So I wouldn't rule it out on that side. It sounds a little bit more difficult on the pitching side, yes, for sure, with some of the numbers you read out. But I think The smart money would probably be on no, but I think that's just in general, just because of how difficult. Nate, what do you think?
When you haven't had an overall triple crown winner since '67, right. The smart money is on a no.
It is tough, right? I mean, but just look at these numbers for Aaron Judge: 358, 28 home runs, 63 ribbies. If he's able to stay healthy, I mean, I could see it happening. Cal Raleigh is the guy that. He's kind of the guy that's messing this up for Aaron Judge right now. He leads baseball with 32 home runs, and he's also driven in 69 this season, which is absolutely unbelievable to do as a catcher.
The real issue for Aaron Judge is, are the Yankees going to be good enough for him to keep hitting home runs or driving in runs?
Yeah, I mean, it is a great question, right? Like, you got to be competitive at the end of the season. You got to be in that mix for him to keep playing games, right? That's something that came up with Paul Skeens too. I was doing a little reading yesterday. Like, of course, the Pirates are in the wild card mix right now. The question was, will they stay competitive long enough this season for Paul Skeens to keep pitching? Like, they would shut him down if they started faltering or weren't in the mix anymore. I found that to be pretty interesting. Like, Paul Skeens can't like that, right?
No, and I think you look across all sports and you see this more and more, I think, these days, of whether it be, managing guys or whatnot. And as a player, like as somebody who is competitive, I would want to play throughout. And if your team is not successful, at least give fans something to cheer for, right? If you have a player who is able to achieve something. So I think it's a tough balance to strike, because you do want to keep guys healthy. You do want to potentially preserve for next year if you're not in the running for things. But also, this is a game of entertainment, right? And the athletes are the ones doing the entertaining. So I can see arguments both ways in those situations.
All right, so I just brought up the name Cal Raleigh. He's the catcher for the Seattle Mariners. A catcher in baseball has never hit 50 home runs before. Salvador Perez, I believe, is the only catcher to hit 48 home runs, is the most. And there's an argument there in that, some of these guys will DH a lot. But Cal Raleigh this season, 29 of his 32 have come as a catcher, which is pretty darn impressive. He's catching almost every single day for the Seattle Mariners. Unreal. Do you think he gets to 50 home runs this season? He's on pace for 60 plus, but he's off to a torrid start. The first half, obviously, unbelievable. Will we see him get to 50 this season?
It's a tough pace to maintain, especially.
But I mean, you don't even need to necessarily maintain the pace. Even if you drop off 10 in the last half, you're still hitting 50.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think. Let's say Let's be optimistic.
Let's go with the yes on this one.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys ever seen? I mean, it's very crazy to think about a guy catching every single day.
Right.
Going to hit 50 plus home runs. I can't remember ever really seeing anything like this. It's one thing to hit 50 home runs. It's crazy to think Aaron Judge is a guy that's like a 60 home run threat every single season. Like, I think Aaron Judge before the year was like plus 400 to hit 60 home runs this season. Unreal. An everyday catcher is on pace to hit 60 plus home runs in Cal Raleigh. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's a lot of work you're carrying for your team.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. What about you, Nate? Like, does this compare to anything for you across sport? Like seeing a guy that's lugging this much mail, carrying this much weight for a team, performing like he is?
Shohei?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like,
that's about all I can think of off the top of my head.
Right. On the bump and at the plate. I know he's pitched less over the last few years, but he's trying to ramp that back up, I suppose. So,
well, it's not like Seattle's a bad team. They're in the wild card hunt. So, he's not just carrying a otherwise useless group, right? This is a talented team, and he's a big contributor to this.
So we just had Jeff Svodoba on. He's the Blue Jackets team reporter, but he's also maybe the biggest Guardians fan I know. And he was saying that the Cleveland Guardians are potentially the most miserable 500 team to watch in baseball. They struggle to score runs, no doubt about that. Their run differential this season, a minus 37. Even so, they're a game and a half back of an AL wildcard spot. Do we think the Guardians have enough to make the Major League postseason this year. Nate, what do you think about the Guards?
I mean, usually their issue is they can't hit home runs. This year their issue is they just can't hit runs.
Yeah, right.
Which the last time I checked is a fairly important thing to do. So I'm going to go with no.
What about you, Pat? What are you thinking on the Guards front? You're going to go watch them a little bit later today, right?
Yes, we will definitely have them on. I think they do. I think they're close enough. If you can start getting some runs in, which is obviously key, as Nate points out, I think they are. Position yourself at this point in the season. Now, obviously you get to the trade deadline and things like that. Will they be movers to try and get in? I think that'll be something to certainly watch. But look, for a team that can't hit and does have minus 37 run differential, you're still in the mix. And I think that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, if they trade for a bat, maybe, but until I see that, I don't see it.
Fair enough.
All right, quickly here, what do we think about the Reds then? They're 2 games out of a wild card spot, starting to get hot. Chase Burns, one of the top prospects in baseball, is up. Their run differential is a plus 41. I like the Reds getting in. I think the Guardians miss out, but I think the Reds are going to get in.
I'm a long-suffering Reds fan, so by definition, I'm saying no, because I'm just used to that being the result, but I'm cautious optimistic this year. I think there is an actual chance of it, so I will put a cautionary yes on it.
All right, I like that.
The Cardinals fan in me says no, just out of fandom. But look, I think they are playing well. We watched the other night that pitching debut as we sat. Brandon and I sat right here. That was impressive stuff, and that's only going to make them better, obviously. So I think I'd probably lean yes, but don't tell my grandfather rest in peace.
All right, we're going to stick with the Reds coming up. Chatting with us will be their pre- and post-game host on TV, Brian Giesenschlag. Stick with us. He's got more on Chase Burns and the Red Hot Reds. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Sometimes I hear a sparkling sound.
Like when we say, all you have to do is point?
There it is.
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio!
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
Look, it's Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
You know what I love the most about your store?
What's that, common man?
The way you treat people. You get to know your customers. That's why they keep coming back. No sleaze balls around. Just good, clean boys and girls selling jewelry.
Stop in and see the difference for yourself.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington. WorthingtonJewelers.com. It's where Columbus gets engaged. Tell them Common Man sent you.
All your favorite fan shows are on YouTube, along with those fake YouTube ads like Chew This Gum and It Grows New Teeth. Experience the splendor of Bo sitting in his closet, Timmy Hall's gouty gold chains, and Matty Ice wearing a coat in 90-degree weather. It's all there. Head to YouTube and subscribe today.
Road trip.
This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas.
Then it's off to Rome,
Georgia.
And you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio.
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
This is a jackpot alert. The Ohio Lottery's Powerball jackpot is up to $155 million. Powerball jackpots are growing faster than ever. Drawings are every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So what are you waiting for? Get your Powerball ticket today.
Check it.
And remember, Keno Double Booster is back every Monday in June. For all Keno tickets with Booster purchased between 3 and 5 o'clock, the Booster will be doubled. Your winnings could be boosted by as much as 20 times. Don't miss out. Play today. Lottery players are subject to commission laws and regulations. Play responsibly.
Do you suffer from leg pain, leg swelling, varicose veins, or leg ulcers? Dr. Barry Zeta and Dr. Joseph Senta at Ohio Vein and Vascular Polaris are pioneers in the vein and vascular field. Dr. Zeta and Dr. Senta can perform minimally invasive procedures that will get you back on track to a pain-free life. Stop living with leg pain and start the process to healthy living with a free healthy leg screening. Go to loveyourveins.com or call 614-426-VEIN. That's 614-426-VEIN or loveyourveins.com.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for today. We are expecting partly cloudy skies. A couple pop-up showers and storms are possible here during the afternoon with the heating of the day. We'll see high temperatures into the upper 80s, but it will feel like it's closer to 90 here with muggy conditions around. We'll keep that in the forecast here for Sunday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs around 90, but a few pop-up showers and storms are possible once again in the afternoon. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
Buckeye games have been airing on WBNS since before you were born and before your parents were born and before Abraham Lincoln was born. Trust me, your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. Live, local, and still slightly drunk.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment.
This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Dylan Tyrer, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh back with you. Hour 2 on Fan Sports Saturday. We are talking baseball. Made some bold predictions in our last segment, and I said the Cincinnati Reds are making the playoffs this year. So here to tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong is the TV pre- and post-game show host for the Reds, Brian Giesenschlag. Gies, hard question right off the top. Am I right? Are the Reds going to make the playoffs?
Just going to say this, Dylan. We got room for you on the bandwagon.
Let's go, baby.
Open seats, but they're filling up fast. So if you want one, you got to get it now. I think there's a good chance they get in this year, yeah.
All right, so they're hot right now, coming off an 8-1 win last night, winners of 4 of their last 5. They've got one of the top prospects in baseball up with them in Chase Burns. What is going right for the Reds at the moment?
What's going right for the Reds right now, it's a few things. All season long, they've pitched pretty well, and in the past, that's always been something that it seems like the pitching can't ever really catch up to whatever offensive players that they've had. That's gone well most of the season, but the entire season's been kind of a feeling out process between the Reds and some of the talented young players that they have and new manager Terry Francona. There's been kind of a, as you would expect, kind of a get-to-know-you feel to the first half of the season. So now we're one game deep into the second half, and it's starting to feel a little bit more like Tito's team. It's starting to feel a little bit more like a team that gets who they are and who he wants them to be. And the series that the Reds have had against the Guardians so far, when we've talked to some of the Guardians folks, what they've told us, in addition to a lot of things about Terry Francona, was, hey, you'll probably see this. Most of Terry Francona's Cleveland teams were better second-half teams than first-half teams. So in addition to just the newness of the relationship and the roster and the manager, Terry Francona, in his Hall of Fame resume, has a track record of teams performing better in the second half. And it just got started, but it feels like the Reds are on that trajectory right now, like they're headed that direction.
You talked about the way the Reds are pitching the baseball this season. Andrew Abbott has been a huge part of that. He's the projected starter, scheduled starter for the Reds later today against the Padres. We'll have that action on the Fan. Abbott, 7-1, 1.79 ERA with 72 strikeouts this season. Is he one of the more underrated pitchers in baseball right now?
No doubt, without question. And I'm glad you brought that up because his season started a little bit late. He came out of spring or came through spring, still kind of dealing with a shoulder that was bothering him. So he built up a little bit towards the end of spring and missed a couple of starts early in the season. But since that time, it's been unbelievable. And you can look at the numbers and you can kind of figure that out. If you hit the All-Star break and you got a sub-2 ERA, you're doing a lot of things right. And so for Abbott, if you remember when he debuted a couple of years ago, his first 5 or 6 starts were similar to this. Right from the beginning of his career, he's kind of felt like nothing was too big for him. Like he was comfortable early on in his career, and I think he's found a different level of comfort this season. And you watch him, obviously he's left-handed. He doesn't throw 100 miles an hour. He doesn't have anything crazy. It's cliche, but he really just knows how to pitch. And this season, he's learning more and more new ways how to pitch. He's 2 starts removed from a complete game shutout, which just doesn't happen anymore. And he followed that up with 7 innings and 1 run his last time out against the Twins. He's been the most consistent, most dominant starter on this staff. And when I say dominant, I use that in terms of results. Hunter Green has obviously been dominant when he's been healthy. Chase Burns was dominant to start the game against the Yankees. Nick Martinez last night, was a couple of outs short of a no-hitter. They've got those kinds of arms and those kinds of mentalities in the rotation. It's kept them in a lot of games. They've lost a lot of low-scoring games, which speaks to the pitching and the success of the pitching. It feels like the offense, like I said, is started to turn and maybe catch up a little bit in that way.
Hey, Brian, Pat Murphy here. Good talking with you. Yeah. You've mentioned it. Dylan mentioned it. Chase Burns. What about this kid is special? I watched his debut. I saw it on TV sitting in the same seat I'm in now, but you watching it more up close, what makes him the exciting prospect that you mentioned?
What makes it exciting is you always want to, tap the brakes a little bit on the hype for a prospect. And to a large degree, you have to. You can't put everything on a 22-year-old kid, but everything about since he was drafted through his 13 minor league starts, and that was it, 13 minor league starts across 3 different levels this season, right to taking the mound in front of 40,000 people against the Yankees at Great American Ballpark for your big league debut. Through each of those steps, there's been nothing about Chase Burns to make you say, oh, well, he's going to be great, but. There's been no but with Chase Burns, and it's one big league start. But his makeup, the moxie, the way that he pitches. If you see most of these, a talented young pitcher that comes up who has 100 miles an hour in his pocket and has a slider that is beyond developed for a pitcher who's 22 years old. Maybe they just have those 2 pitches. He has a changeup. So he has 3 pitches that he uses confidently so far. And it's also the way that he pitches. He pitches backwards. He pitches in different counts in different ways that you would see a more mature veteran pitcher attack hitters. He did that in his first start. And his big league debut, the first 4 hitters he faced were all former MVPs. The Yankees ran out 1 through 4. They all had at least one MVP. He struck them all out, struck out the first 5, 6 of the first 7. Yes, after that, there was some hard contact because he was challenging guys with the fastball. But again, everything about this so far, one guy that I work with said, hey, I undersold the hype on Ellie De La Cruz a few years ago. He goes, I don't want to make that mistake again, and I feel like I don't want to undersell the hype about Chase Burns because the Reds and Chase Burns believe in what he's doing that much. So it's off to a great start. His next start will be on Monday in Boston. So, hey, kid, welcome to the Bigs. Here's the Yankees. Here's the Red Sox at Fenway. And he's going to face Garrett Crochet Monday at Fenway Park. So that'll be something to watch.
Sounds pretty good. A true ace-off there. I'll have my eyes on that game. I can't wait for that one. All right, Geese, this may be looking ahead a little far, but the MLB trade deadline is about a month away. I know the Reds like what they have. They've got a good young roster, lots of pieces. Do you see them making any additions before that trade deadline?
You know, everybody has to wait and see. But right now there are more teams that believe that they'll be buyers at the trade deadline than usual. Right now I think there are, as the first half ended, I think there are 18 teams that are at or above 500. So teams are going to have to make some tough decisions. Are they buyers? Are they sellers? The Reds desperately want to be buyers. They are trending and tracking towards being buyers. When you get to that point, what do they want? Well, some of the same things that probably those other 17 teams all want. They could use some bullpen help. If they have everyone healthy or feeling like they're going to be healthy, the rotation's going to look different. Maybe that ends up, there's a trickle-down effect and helps the bullpen out some. From an offensive standpoint, going into this season, they really needed a right-handed power bat. They think Austin Hayes is that guy, but the Reds have played 52 games, and Austin Hayes has only played 32 of those games. So he's had some tough luck just staying healthy. When he's been in there, they've been a different team. He's been a little bit of a difference maker from a right-handed bat perspective. Christian Encarnacion Strand has the potential to really help in that way, but he really, outside of when he burst onto the scene earlier this year when he came off the injured list, he's had a hard time getting it going. So I think they'll look at a bat, but I think priority number one would be bullpen help if everything stays the same between now and the deadline for the Reds.
All right, later today, 4:10 first pitch. It's the Reds and the Padres. Reds with a win will clinch that series against the Padres. They're playing some good baseball right now, and Geese, I know you're enjoying it. So thanks very much for stopping by. We really appreciate a lot of good information from you.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend. See you down the road.
All right, see you, Geese. That is Brian Giesenschlag. He's the pre- and post-game host on TV for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, if you're a Reds fan right now, Nate, you got to be pretty excited listening to a lot of that stuff, right?
I'm very much hoping a lot of what he said comes true. I mean, the best thing going right now with the Reds is the pitching rotation. Like, it's pretty incredible at the moment.
I liked a lot about that. I mean, that Chase Burns stuff sounded real. I didn't even realize, I didn't think about that. He struck out the first 6 outs he earned in Major League Baseball were all strikeouts, right? I did not realize that the 4 first strikeouts were against former MVPs. That's pretty good stuff.
I didn't either. And I saw the guys. I guess I could have put 2 and 2 together, but didn't. And yeah, it was really impressive. And I think you mentioned some of the other young guys that they have in that system there. And this is certainly a team positioned well. It's just a matter of kind of how they handle things going forward.
All right, I've been to a couple of Reds games this season. I love Great American Ballpark. It's so much fun. But are those some of the favorite sporting events I've ever been to in my life? I don't think so. Pat had a great idea to talk about some of the best games we've covered as workers and also some of the best games we've attended as fans in our life. It's list season. It's the summer. So that's what we've got going on next. We're going to get into the best games that we have covered as reporters, broadcasters. That is coming up next. It's Fan Sports Saturday right here on The Fan.
At Valvoline Instant Oil Change, we're here to help keep you on the road so you can soak up all the summer fun.
The road tunes.
Take me out to the ball game.
Hotel pools. Emergency ice cream stops. The sunscreen and bug spray everywhere. At Valvoline Instant Oil Change, we're here for it all. So stop in for a quick oil change before you go. Only takes about 15 minutes. No appointment needed.
The champs are back. Ohio State football returns to the Shoe this fall with powerhouse matchups against Texas, Penn State, and more. Your Buckeye Saturdays begin at ohiostatebuckeyes.com, where you can grab single game tickets that are on sale now. Gear up and get ready for game day.
The Columbus Zoo invites you to follow the footsteps and the tales of animals from around the world. Explore our newest region, North America Trek. So what are you waiting for? Get your tail to our trails only at your Columbus Zoo.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Garnish your Bloody Mary with sports talk. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Breaking news in the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers have made a trade with the Chicago Bulls. Bulls trading Lonzo Ball to the Cavs for Isaac Okoro. So a depth guard there, Lonzo Ball for the Cavs. What do we think about this one, Pat?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what this is, and more of a true point guard. Lonzo can certainly score. The big question here is how healthy will Lonzo be? Missed 2 seasons with knee injuries. Before coming back last year, played 35 games, 14 starts last season. As a Lakers fan, I was a big Lonzo Ball guy when he was drafted, obviously played at UCLA as well, and it just hasn't quite clicked. He had some really good years in New Orleans before going to Chicago. So I think this is interesting. I think he's a guy who can certainly score. If it doesn't work out, I think he's in the last year of his contract. So for the Cavs, I think it's a good risk to take. Okoro was obviously a solid piece, but I think you get an even better piece back, maybe a better fit. And then if it doesn't work out, you're not stuck on it long term.
Right. It comes down to that health, right? But that upside for Lonzo Ball, 100%. I know it's been a tough few years for him in terms of staying on the court, being healthy, but that upside, it's there for Lonzo Ball. And I'm hoping it works out for the Cavs. This is a big season for them, right? With some injuries in the Eastern Conference. The window is definitely there for the Cavs to take that next step. They had an awesome regular season this past year, stumbled in the playoffs, but, Jason Tatum going to be on the shelf. Tyrese Halliburton going to be on the shelf this season. It's there for the Cavs for the taking.
Yeah, who knows what happens in Philly. Look, this was the best team in the East with those guys playing, right? At least in the regular season. So now the window's open. It's still open, I guess I should say, and a real opportunity here. And now you add another piece to that equation.
All right, let's get into our lists now. We teased before that we wanted to talk about some of the best sporting events that we've witnessed in person. We're going to start off with events that we have covered. So I'm more so a broadcaster through and through. I was a student broadcaster when I went to Ohio State, so got to see some great sports there. My day job is with the Blue Jackets, so I've been able to witness some awesome things there. And I've got maybe an off-the-board one on my list too. But you want to get us started, Pat, here and talk about some of the best sporting events you've covered?
Yeah, I'll start with one that didn't turn out the way that Buckeye fans wanted it to, but was still a really cool game to be a part of and be at. And that was the 2019 College Football Playoff game against Clemson, where Ohio State comes up just short. Justin Fields throws the interception as he and Chris Olave aren't on the same page there. And I actually talked about this the other night when Brandon and I were on. I was going to England that first trip regardless of whether Ohio State won that January. And so I'm standing on the sidelines as Ohio State's driving down the field to potentially win that game with like very strange thoughts of like, well, I'd love them to win. It's good for business. Like they get to go to the national championship game. And, you know, that team had been so good that whole year. It was going to set up a matchup with Joe Burrow and LSU in the national championship game. But at the same time, I was going to be in Europe. I was not going to get to cover the game. I was going to have to figure out a way to watch it. And so that one sticks out to me, not only because it was a really good game, unfortunately goes the wrong way for the Buckeyes, but also just kind of the mental gymnastics I'm doing of, okay, what happens if they do win this? And how am I going to handle that being over in England or Amsterdam or wherever I was the night of the national championship game?
You want to keep going down your list, or should we just trade off number 5? All right, so my number 5, this is my off-the-board one. I'm going to say the 2018 Memorial Tournament because I got a peek behind the curtain there. Throughout college, I worked at Muirfield. So I was kind of a locker room attendant at Muirfield, which includes working the tournament. So just a really cool opportunity to be right up close and working with some of the players there. Got to meet Tiger Woods, got to meet Rory McIlroy, got to meet Phil Mickelson. Among many others. Phil, my perception of Phil Mickelson completely changed. I did not like Phil. I was a Tiger stan, and Phil treated me so well there. He and his caddy treated me so well that I absolutely love Phil Mickelson now. I think he's changed his perception a lot, just kind of with the YouTube golf too. I think he's great on YouTube, a great personality. So I'm just going to toss in the 2018 Memorial Tournament there because it was unique from most of the other things on my list. Nate, you got anything?
I've got 2 that stick out to me.
All right.
I've spent most of my career at a different radio station in Columbus, and most of it was behind the board, producing games. So the first one that comes to mind was getting to broadcast the first game of the 2009 NHL playoffs for the Blue Jackets. After many nights, and this is when the Blue Jackets were still in the West, many nights of having to broadcast games starting at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, getting to do that game was incredible experience just for me. And then Pat will appreciate this one. I spent 5 years doing all things radio for the Columbus Crew. So the one that sticks out to me was a first-round matchup of the 2015 playoffs against the Montreal Impact, where they came back from behind 2-1. Maffrey is going insane the whole thing, and then me and Neil Seeker are just pounding him back later on after the game.
Neil knows how to do that.
Yes, he does.
That's one of the few Crew playoff games that I was not at because it was a weekday game, and we had Ohio State interviews, and I got home like 10 minutes in or something and turned it on, and I think they were already losing, and then I watched the rest at home because we had some work to do, but that was a fun one. I will next go with the 2000 and I think it was 17 Penn State game, the one where Ohio in Columbus, Saquon Barkley returns the opening kickoff. Ohio State's in those gray uniforms, and the Buckeyes make that big comeback. And JT Barrett was near perfect at the end of that game. And when we cover Ohio State games in the fourth quarter, at least at home and most away venues, you get to go down to the field for the kind of the latter half of the fourth quarter, so we can easily get to the post-game press conference room. So I've been on the field, and I'll bring up another one here in a little bit for some truly remarkable end of games. But that one with the comeback and the crowd, the only reason that's probably not higher is because the next week Penn State goes to Iowa and JT Barrett starts the game off by throwing a pick six, and it all went downhill from there. But in the moment, watching JT Barrett, and he'd been criticized a lot, and coming out of that game, it was like, is JT Barrett a Heisman contender? Is he a favorite? And just the way they played, Marcus Ball catching the touchdown, I was right in that end zone. So real cool experience then.
You and I must have been pretty close to each other because I had completely left that off my list. I was down on the field, and that Marcus Ball catch is burned into my memory. But it actually triggered another Penn State memory for me that I'm going to add at number 4. Okay. I had initially had the 2019 Rose Bowl game against Washington at number 4. I'm a California kid, so being able to broadcast the game for student radio from the Rose Bowl was pretty darn cool. Ohio State kind of won that game handily, though. Washington made it interesting at the end. But I'm going to go that 2018 game against Penn State, whiteout game. at Beaver Stadium. The single coolest atmosphere I think I've ever been in my life. I liken the press box there to like an old nuclear submarine.
It really is.
And it just shakes. It was so loud. It was so cool. And it looked like the Buckeyes were down and out in that game. Dwayne Haskins miraculously leads them down the field at the end of the game. Ohio State beats Penn State 27-26. Probably the coolest atmosphere I've ever been in, and just an unbelievable result if you're an Ohio State fan. So thank you for bringing up that Penn State game, because it triggered this memory for me, which is one of my all-time favorite football memories.
That one was going to be on my list, but the drive to win the game, like KJ Hill catching the pass and everything, they wouldn't let us out on the field. I was stuck in the tunnel, so I didn't see any of that. The atmosphere, crazy. It's always crazy.
Yes.
But so that was the reason that I went with the 2017 game over that. The next one I will do is the 2016 Ohio State-Michigan game.
Okay.
This was the overtime game. JT Barrett, was he short? Was he not? Depending on which side of the rivalry you're on, you probably have an answer. The reason that this one really stands out to me, if you watch the broadcast of Curtis Samuel scoring that touchdown, I am standing right there in the end zone. So I have a picture of, like, basically from the TV broadcast of Curtis, like, arms spread and me just standing right there. And I have a pretty cool video of it as well. That game was nuts just in general, the whole game.
Tyler Durbin.
Yes. And the fact that, I think it was the first overtime game in the history of that long rivalry. So, yeah, certainly a great one to be at. Almost the loudest I've ever heard Ohio Stadium when Curtis scored that touchdown. I will bring up when we talk about fan ones a couple others that at least equal, if not were a little bit better in terms of the volume at Ohio Stadium.
Number 3 for me is when the Blue Jackets swept the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2019. That was so fun to be at Nationwide Arena. I will say, I'm not an anxious person whatsoever. When the Blue Jackets came back to host Game 3 against the Boston Bruins in the second round and they hit the ice, I almost had a panic attack. It was so loud in there. Like, I thought the building was coming down. It was so loud. But I will still go back and watch kind of, they do the on-ice projection and the intro. Like, I still go back and watch it from those playoffs. Just I can just remember the feeling, everything. Nationwide Arena is a very special place to be in the postseason. So that sweep of Tampa Bay was so, so cool. So that had to be on my list.
That would be awesome. I've been to some fun Blue Jackets games. I've not been to a playoff game.
You got to go.
I've heard really good things. The number 2 for me is the 2020 MLS Cup final. The Crew won against Seattle 3-1. If you remember that year, that was a very strange year for everybody, but especially in sports. So Mafre Stadium had, I think, like 200 fans were allowed to come to the game. So it was a really weird atmosphere for a championship game. And 5 years earlier, the Crew had hosted Portland, a game I went to as a fan, and they lost, or actually, I guess I covered that. They lost the game. So to have it there, they dominated Seattle, and to just be able to be a part of that. And it was weird. After the game, we do post-game Zooms they had us above the stage so we could socially distance instead of being in the tiny little press box at that old stadium. And, we got to go down on the field with a couple of the other writers at the time and stand on the stage, but they still were very like, okay, you can't be too close, can't be too close. Well, then a group of us, including Neil Sika, went out to the parking lot afterwards, had some post-game beers there, which will, now that they don't play there anymore, always be a cool memory.
All right, you already talked about my number 2, so I won't spend too much time on it. Ohio State beating Michigan 30-27, double overtime 2016. On the mic for that one. It was so, so fun. I will forever have Curtis Samuel with the slight leap, arm stretched in that north end zone, breaking the plane, etched into my memory. Such a cool game. The missed field goals to make it interesting. Ohio State had so many opportunities to win that game, couldn't do it, and finally got it done. That was a really, really cool game. What's your number 1?
Well, real quick, you mentioned the Penn State press box. They took that down.
Yeah, I heard it's being replaced. I was sad to hear it.
They won't have a press box for like the next 2 or 3 years. And they actually, as they blew it up, they let all the writers come out. It was in the middle of the winter. I talked to one of our guys that's over there, and he was like, yeah, we were all freezing, but we hated that press box so much, so we all went out and took pictures and videos and whatnot. My number 1, and this is kind of cheating, but I'm grouping 4 games together because I didn't think it was fair to just take all 4 of these games and go rank them. But this year's college football playoff run for the Buckeyes, I had not covered a national championship game in person. I was interning in 2014. 2020, I was at home. My coworker Steve Hellwagen went there. And so to get there, to cover that whole run, and then to be at a national championship game where the Buckeyes play the way they did, I mean, everyone knows the dominance that they had throughout that. You mentioned the Rose Bowl, one of my favorite places. I almost put the Utah game where C.J. Stroud and Jackson Smith and Jigba and Marvin Harrison went nuts just because it was such a cool experience at the Rose Bowl. But to go there and then go to Dallas, not to mention the Tennessee game at home, just I'm grouping them all together as one event because it felt like that with how crazy that month was. But yeah, just an awesome experience to get to cover that run and the first 12-team college football playoff. A lot of things that they could still improve on, but it was a hell of a ride.
Number one for me, 2025 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series. Blue Jackets beat the Red Wings 5-3 at Ohio Stadium. I mean, what do you need to say more than hockey in the shoe? 94,000 people strong, freezing cold. I was rinkside on the ice reporting for the Blue Jackets radio network that game. I got to see it all up close. It was so cold, my phone stopped working. I could barely use my hands. I could barely speak. And the Blue Jackets won the game in incredible fashion. Awesome hockey game. So much energy. I hope we get to do it again sometime. But that one takes the cake for me. It was so cool. So cool.
Those are fun games to talk about.
Oh, yeah. God, that was fun. Well, the good news is we get to keep talking about them next. We're going to talk about the best games we have attended when we come back. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And, well, we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Common Man here. I want to talk to you about my buddy Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. It's rare that a business comes along and offers you such great quality, service, price. If you or someone you love or like, or even strangers on the street tell you they need a jeweler, tell them you got a guy, and that guy is Bob Capace at Worthington Jewelers.
I'm Bob Capace, and I'm your guy.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington, worthingtonjewelers.com, where Columbus gets engaged.
I can't wait to meet her. Oh my gosh.
Put your hands together for new Dr. Pepper Blackberry and Dr. Pepper Blackberry Zero Sugar.
There she is! Woohoo! Yeah! It's full Dr. Pepper!
With sweet blackberry flavor!
Dr. Pepper Blackberry, I'm obsessed with your succulent taste. Please marry me!
No! Marry me! Marry me, or I'm gonna freak out!
Try new Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
It's a pepper thing!
Waddle, hop, or gallop your way to adventure. The Columbus Zoo invites you to follow the footsteps and the tails of animals from around the world. Explore 8 wild regions, including our newest North America trek. So what are you waiting for? Get your tail to our trails only at your Columbus Zoo. Get more information and tickets at columbuszoo.org.
Used car prices are sky high. Families paying top dollar today. Don't waste time selling it yourself. Any car, any truck, any year, we want it now. No games, no waiting, just cash. Get to Valley before the market drops.
ValleySuperstore.com.
He shoots, he scores! No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
That's our us. When dreams don't get in, that's our us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's our us. When dreams don't get in, that's our us.
Austin and Berm are back with a new daily podcast, the ultimate OSU Football Insiders. You know it's refreshing to have some smart people working here from time to time.
The Beat with Austin and Berm on the 10 TV Plus app.
Subscribe today.
We could tell you what makes Giant Eagle special, but we think our customers say it best.
I love the fresh produce. I love the fresh meat.
I'm pretty sure the fish guy knows me by now. We're buds.
I love to grill. That alone keeps me coming back.
The people that work here are so nice and so helpful.
Everybody loves the cakes from Giant Eagle.
On every shelf, in every department, we're always going for better because being your Giant Eagle matters.
This is my Giant Eagle.
This is my Giant Eagle.
This is my Giant Eagle.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
This is a jackpot alert. The Ohio Lottery's Powerball jackpot is up to $155 million. Powerball jackpots are growing faster than ever. Drawings are every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So what are you waiting for? Get your Powerball ticket today.
Check it.
And remember, Keno Double Booster is back every Monday in June. For all Keno tickets with Booster purchased between 3 and 5 o'clock, the Booster will be doubled. Your winnings could be boosted by as much as 20 times. Don't miss out. Play today. Lottery players are subject to commission laws and regulations. Play responsibly.
Talking about guns might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Asking safety questions before a play date, like do you have pets, a pool, are there any unlocked guns in the home, can help keep kids safe. Learn more at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by Ohio Health and the Ad Council.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio!
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. We firmly believe it's appropriate to tailgate before a youth soccer game. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Picking up where we left off, we're doing lists right now, top 5 lists to be exact. The best games we have ever attended, best sporting events we've ever attended. Pat and I just did best games we have ever covered. Now, best games we have ever attended. Pat started off last time, so I'll begin with my number 5 here. And this is a crazy one. Ohio State football fans out there might not like it. But the top 5 for me begins with October 16th, 2004 at Kinnick Stadium. The Iowa Hawkeyes beat the Ohio State Buckeyes 33-7. Drew Tate at quarterback for Iowa in that game. He was my all-time favorite player when I was a kid. I grew up an Iowa fan. But I included that one because it was my first ever Ohio State football game. I took a train to Kinnick Stadium. I remember just picking it up in a field. I had my face painted black and yellow with an eye on one of my cheeks. It was just an incredible experience. The day before, we had gotten a tour of Kinnick Stadium. I got to put on Drew Tate's helmet. He had the Riddell Revolution helmet with a visor on it, a tinted visor. I had only imagined ever wearing it, having played with him in NCAA Football 04, and I got to actually put it on. So that it's an all-time core memory for me, and it just happened to be my first Ohio State football game.
That's pretty cool. Obviously a bad one if you were an Ohio State fan.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
I mentioned that earlier with the coming off the Penn State game. Yeah, that was a nuts atmosphere. I remember being there covering the game, and with just everything going on at Kinnick Stadium. They had some talented tight ends on that team, didn't they? My number 5 is also an Ohio State game that did not go well for Ohio State, but it is the 2009 game against USC. It was a non-conference game, obviously. 18-15, the Trojans win. I was there as a fan in the student section. It was the loudest I have ever heard Ohio Stadium. Now, I've talked to people who were at the 2005 Texas game. They say that's the loudest, and I'll believe them given the capacity at that time. But just a crazy game. We tailgated all day. I'd gone there. The Buckeyes, I thought for sure were going to win that after getting beat down The year before at USC, another game I went to that I almost put on this list if it hadn't been so bad. But the unfortunate drive towards the end of the game with McKnight, I think it was, the running back who was just catching passes out of the backfield.
For USC?
Yeah,
Joe McKnight.
Joe McKnight, yes. Yeah. And a young Mark, the quarterback for USC.
Mark Sanchez?
Mark Sanchez, yes, I believe is what it was. No, it was Barkley.
Matt Barkley.
Matt Barkley, yes, the freshman. Drove them down the field. I'd screamed my lungs out. After the game, I'd lost the friends that I was with. My phone was dead. I hadn't moved into my campus apartment yet, so I didn't have a charger. And I knew I had a BlackBerry, and I knew one person that was on campus that had a BlackBerry, but he lived nowhere near the stadium. I had like 1,000 text messages asking if I was okay after the game. So the result was not what I wanted on that day, but I look back on that whole event very fondly.
I used to have a BlackBerry too. Sick phone.
Yep.
My number 4 is the Chicago White Sox beating the Angels 5-2 in Game 3 of the 2005 ALCS. I am unfortunately a Chicago White Sox fan. At least at that point I was. I don't know if I am anymore. If you recall, A.J. Przinsky had that crazy non-drop third strike the game prior in Game 2, but I got to witness the White Sox beating the Angels there. Paul Konerko hit one of the longest home runs I've ever seen in my life. So as a kid in 2005, being able to witness the White Sox win in Southern California where I lived, it was pretty darn cool. We were supposed to go to the ALDS against the Red Sox at Fenway that year. My mom said no. We had tickets. My mom said no because I had to be in my cousin's wedding rehearsal.
Did you disown her?
Evening. I was 8, so.
I repeat the question.
We have never let her forget that. Just let us say that. I finally made it to Fenway for the first time this past summer, so it was a long time coming, but we do not let her forget about that one. That's my number 4.
It is unfortunate when weddings and things get in the way of sporting events. I've had that happen.
When the stuff you don't want to go to gets in the way of stuff you really want to go to.
Yes. My number 4 will be the 2023 MLS Cup just a couple years ago. The Crew won, beating LAFC 2-1. The first time they've won at the new stadium down at Lower.com Field. Crazy day. We started the game at a bar watching Manchester United that morning. I think the game was at 7:30. So it was a big day of celebrating. Actually, I think Manchester United lost, but beers were had. Scootered over to the stadium, which there was some debate about if the group of us were capable of scootering. We all got there safe. Tailgating, the LAFC fans that traveled a mass amount, marched right by where we were on their way to the stadium. There was a lot of back and forth yelling, things you can't say on radio. And then the game was a crazy atmosphere. If you haven't been to Lower.com Field yet, I thoroughly recommend it. It's not quite some of the English stadiums, but it's about as good as you're going to find in the U.S. And for a final like that, and then the Crew to win, they, like I said, they'd won in 2020, but that was such a different experience. I also wasn't there as a fan then, so to be back and have them win their third championship was really cool.
Number 3 for me is a pretty unique one, I think, because at the time it was the biggest upset in the history of college football. October 6, 2007, Stanford beat USC 24-23 at the LA Coliseum. USC was a 41-point favorite coming into the game. On top of that, Stanford's quarterback had a seizure the week before the game, and their backup, Tavita Pritchard, started. Pritchard, I think, had thrown 3 passes in a college football game before. He starts the game for Stanford. They absolutely stun USC. They snapped a 35-game home winning streak for the Trojans. Stanford upset USC 24-23. I was at the game with a Stanford alum. He had taken me, dad of my best friend, in elementary school. Just a really, really cool game to witness. And I will offer an honorable mention. A few years later, I was at a triple overtime game between Stanford and USC. Andrew Luck won that game for Stanford 56-48. That was 2011. So I've seen some pretty good Stanford Cardinal and USC Trojans football games at the Coliseum.
Nate, you got some you want to throw at us?
So I've got a top 5. My number 5 would be OSU Michigan 2014. Mm-hmm. I got to be up in C-Deck for that game, which was, of course, just anytime you're at OSU Michigan, it's already crazy. And then to cap off the top 5, the undefeated season was fun to be at. Number 4 would be the Stadium Series game last year. An unreal atmosphere at Ohio State, especially for a hockey game.
Number 3, a little off the wall, a week-long excursion to WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia with 8 of my best friends for the whole week, good experiencing. Number 2, Game 4 against Tampa Bay, the loudest sporting event I've ever attended in my life. I could not talk for a week afterwards. And the number 1, I'm in the corner of the end zone when we score in 0-2 against Michigan.
That's a good list. Yeah, pretty darn good list right there.
My number 2 will be the 2013 Ohio State-Michigan game. It was in Ann Arbor. The final score was, let me make sure I've got this right here. It was the one where the pass was intercepted on the 2-point conversion at the very end. I went up with a buddy. We had I'd ordered tickets at the beginning of the season, like through Michigan's athletic department. And I was like, I'm going to the Michigan game. Would be my first road Michigan game. And my buddy and I went up. He had a family friend who lived in Ann Arbor. So we stayed with them. It was great. They had some kids our age. They took us out on campus. Great time. We get to the stadium. I pull out the tickets. These were physical tickets still at the time. I pull them out. I had 1 ticket and the receipt.
No.
I didn't have 2 tickets. And so we're like, what do we do? Can we go to the box office? There's a guy that comes by wearing Ohio State stuff. And he's like, hey, do you guys need tickets? I explain what happened. And he's like, we don't have any money on us. And he's like, here, just take this one. Like, I'd rather give it to somebody that's Ohio State. And we're like, okay. And then he comes back and he's like, actually, here, just take both of them so you guys can sit together. We go to my seats. They're fine. They're in the end zone. But it was already really crammed in there. So we're like, let's check out the other seats. We're in the corner all around a bunch of Michigan fans. We have these 2 guys in front of us, big guys, look like they'd played football for Michigan. I don't know if they did. And back and forth all game. We're just going and going. So Ohio State wins the game. We go down to the field. The Buckeyes come over. They're celebrating. There's some other Ohio State fans come up. We go to leave after all this happens. The 2 guys stood there and waited. And they came up, shook our hands. We're like, we had a great time with you guys.
That's
like,
awesome.
You know, and like, that's what I think when I think of that rivalry. Like, yeah, give it all you got during the game, but like, there's still some respect on that side. And look, they didn't have to do that. They could have left. They could have been jerks. But that was great. And that was my first experience at the Big House.
That is tremendous. Number 2 on my list, I was at Soldier Field. Again, I'm a Chicago sports fan, tortured Bears fan. Not a lot of wins against the Packers, but I witnessed one of them. December 23rd, 2007, Bears hammered the Packers 35-7, just crushed Brett Favre. After the game, Brett Favre said it was the single worst playing conditions he's ever played in. Negative 18 degrees, snowing. My brother's popcorn froze. Beer was frozen at the game. It was absolutely unbelievable. We were in the end zone. It was so cold. My brother and I cried at one point. My dad forced us to wait for autographs by the tunnel. He said, go down there and wait for autographs. We said, Dad, no, we want to come back. He said, no, you're going to regret this. Didn't get any autographs. Wasn't worth it. But, man, it was awesome to be there for that Bears win. I will never, ever forget that.
Those cold games, like, you hate it at the time, but then you think back to them afterwards. My number 2 was, we talked about this trip already when I went to England, but my first Manchester United game, like when you were talking about Kinnick, we got to tour the stadium the day before. It was just cool to be there. I already sort of talked about the experience of being at those games, but they won. We sat really close to the field. We got lucky with our tickets, and just to be over there, I'd watched so many games on TV, but to experience it in person and, you know, to kind of take in everything like I talked about with those games was an awesome experience.
All right, coming up, our number 1 favorite sporting events we have attended. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
No hot takes, no dancing, plenty of stupid. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Jerry, I think I invented something.
Does it solve a problem?
It solves a big problem.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Heating and cooling companies are telling people your furnace and AC isn't worth fixing. You need to replace it with a whole new system.
You invented a solution for that?
I invented a way to fix those systems for free.
Get Eco.
ECO.
That's a great invention. How does it work?
Step 1 is to pay Eco to fix it.
I thought you said you'd fix it for free.
Step 2 is that we give you back all the money that you paid us, up to $1,500 when you get Eco to replace it.
Get Eco.
ECO.
What if your repair keeps my system running for several more years?
That would mean you got all those extra years for free.
Paying Eco to fix your AC system is like putting money in the bank.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Get eco.com.
Hey, it's Anthony for my friends at Germain Honda of Dublin. Summer savings, Rich is backing it up. He has rates as low as 0% and leases starting from $249 a month. How about a 25 Honda HR-V LX CVT two-wheel drive? Lease it for only $259 a month. 36 months, 30,000 miles with only $30.39 down. And all trades deserve a sweetener. He's giving you an extra $1,000 for yours. See them for all the details. Germain Honda of Dublin, Sawmill Road, just south of 270.
He shoots, he scores! No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
Hey friends, Beamer here. So did you jump in on Awaken 180's Lose 40 by the 4th challenge? Well, if you did, well, a huge congratulations to you on hitting a 40-pound goal in less than 2 months. That deserves some serious celebration. Speaking from experience, I dropped double digits my very first week on Awaken 180, and in just over 3 months, all 70 pounds were gone. Total game changer for me, and the results came lightning fast. Now, if you haven't jumped on board yet, there's no worries. There's still plenty of summer left to lose your 30, 40, 70 like I did, or even 100 pounds or more. I'm not saying you're going to drop 40 pounds next week, but if you have the same week one results I had, you'll definitely be on your way. Set your sights in August. Think summer barbecue, golf, the beach. Every bit of it fits into your new Awaken 180 lifestyle. Lose weight, love summer, and thank me later. You can start today at awaken180weightloss.com, the official weight loss program of summer.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Nate Pooterball. It was a busy night for the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. Before the NHL draft, they made a deal sending Gavin Brindley and a pick to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for forwards Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood. Then in the NHL draft, they selected defenseman Jackson Smith with the 14th overall pick and Russian goaltender Peter Andreanov at number 20. Last night in Cincinnati, the Reds beat up on the Padres 8-1. Nick Martinez took a no-hit bid into the 9th inning, and Spencer Steer blasted 3 home runs for the Reds. Game 2 of their series comes your way at 4:10 this afternoon with Andrew Abbott of the Reds taking on Randy Vasquez. Catch the action right here on The Fan. And in Cleveland, the St. Louis Cardinals blanked the Guardians 5-0 behind a dominant 1-hit, 11-strikeout complete game by Sonny Gray. They'll square off again today at 4:10. Bringing sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Just a quick wrap-up here on our lists of the best games we have ever attended as fans, best sporting events, our number ones. It is time for our number ones. My number one, the 2024 U.S. Open. Golf, we are talking. I was there at Pinehurst. I watched the dismantling of Rory McIlroy. He completely fell apart. The triumph of Bryson DeChambeau. It was awesome to be there in person. The way that Pinehurst is laid out, you know, the greens are right next to the tee boxes, so you can kind of be at one tee or at one green and see what's going on, and that jockeying back and forth and being able to listen radio-wise to what was going on all afternoon long. It was absolutely unbelievable. So I will never forget being there and what that was like, rushing the 18th fairway to get up to that green and see what was going on. Just a really cool experience.
I have never been to a major golf event. That is something that I've been told I should do at some point. I've never even been to the Memorial.
Going to golf is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been invited, and just for one reason or another, never been able to attend. So that's something I need to add to the list here. My number one, and again, I'm cheating a little bit. It's kind of 2 games put into one because it all worked together. In 2008, the Crew won their first MLS Cup. After years and years of me just thinking like this was never going to happen, this team, which started in 1996, they were good at points. There had been times when I'd gotten my hopes up. That year, they were the best team in the league. And the second best team in the league was the Chicago Fire, who had brought back to MLS Brian McBride, who had been the longtime forward for the Crew and then had gone over to England. He's originally from just outside of Chicago. And I thought that was like utter betrayal at the time. And they met in the Eastern Conference Finals at Mafre Stadium. Brian McBride scored, and then Crew defender Chad Marshall scored over Brian McBride on a corner kick to send the Crew to MLS Cup. The reason I tell that is because the next day, my buddy Nick and I, he'd already booked a flight, was going to LA. We had a friend that was at UCLA, and she was going to let us crash on her floor. And he was like, you got to go. And I was like, I can't afford it. Well, then they were replaying the game on TV, the Eastern Conference Final. And I was like, all right, I have to go. And I had like an emergency credit card, so to speak, in college. And I put it on there. The flight had gone up that Nick had already booked. Like I spent way too much money, but we flew out to LA. We were at, it was the Home Depot Center.
Yep.
I think it's changed names by now.
Yeah, it went to StubHub Center and other stuff.
Yeah. A place that that's where Ohio State practices when they're out there for the Rose Bowl. So I get to go there every once in a while. But cool experience. We were underage, so we had to figure out what we were going to drink before games. I'll leave it at that. And just awesome. Got to be there. Got to be in the fan section for that game, and for the first time they won MLS Cup. Just an awesome experience. I'm glad I spent the money, even though I didn't have it and had to figure that out later.
Just got a couple of minutes here before we got to hit our break. Any honorable mentions for you?
Yeah, I already mentioned that USC game where Ohio State got blown out. We had another friend at USC who we went with, and that was just a really fun weekend. The game obviously did not go well, but we were sitting next to this family in front of us, and Todd Beckman started at quarterback for Ohio State, and the guy behind us was just yelling at Todd Beckman, and finally this guy stands up. He's like, "That's my brother, man. You say one more word." The guy that was yelling got up and left, and we talked to the family. Very nice. Funny. Like, there wasn't much to talk about Buckeye-wise, so that was a good one for me. What about you?
I've got a couple. U.S. Open of Surf in Huntington Beach, California. Okay. Just a very unique event to go to. Guys out there just way out on waves. You're on the beach kind of watching them. It's more of like a festival than really watching the surfing, which is cool. And then at Home Depot Center, I used to always go to the Rugby Sevens every year, so international rugby. Just really cool, like a melting pot of people. You've got the All Blacks from New Zealand were there, the Springboks of South Africa there, Fiji, like Fijian people just really get into rugby too. So really cool to witness that and be a part of that environment. So those are a couple for me, Rugby Sevens and the U.S. Open of Surf. Also was at David Beckham's first ever MLS game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, with the Galaxy. So another cool one there. But yeah, just a couple of things.
Yeah. I would quickly throw in on one that I covered, the Oregon game last year. Just going to Autzen and that atmosphere. Obviously, the way it ended, not in Ohio State's favor, but a really cool environment. If you're out there, you definitely experience something awesome.
All right, the word environment has come up a lot here. That's what makes the venue. So I'm curious what you think about Ohio Stadium. Is it truly one of the toughest places to play in college football? NCAA football, the video game, thinks so. I might disagree. We'll discuss next. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic.
Oh, yes.
Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
This is Corey Sickles with Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When you leave a job, don't leave your 401k. Grow your investment without the fees associated with 401k plans. Visit safeharboroh.com to schedule a complimentary meeting. safeharboroh.com.
One of the things I had decided when I started the company was we were going to build the best window possible. We were going to give the best service possible, and I think we've accomplished that. Our reputation is built on taking care of people and building a great window and then taking care of it afterwards. It's just a darn good window.
See for yourself. Visit RossatiWindows.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
Discover uncompromising quality at a reliable price with Giant Eagle in Market District. Look for signs throughout the store highlighting lower prices. Surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle. Experience value like never before. Visit Giant Eagle today to see how easy it is to save.
Hi, this is Bob Mashetter from Dick Mashetter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at MashetterFord.net. Thanks.
The Buckeyes are national champions. And you listen to it all right here on The Fan. And next year when they do it again, it'll be here on The Fan. And the year after that, well, you know the drill. Always and forever, your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself. And check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Going up. Prices keep going up these days. It feels like being on an elevator that only goes up. Going up. But not at Metro. We're pushing the down button. Going down. We've lowered prices. Get one line of 5G data for $40. Period. That's 20% lower. And you get a free Samsung 5G phone when you bring your number. Only at Metro.
5-year guarantee on eligible plans. Exclusions apply. See website for details. Not available at Metro with T-Mobile in the past 6 months. Tax applies.
Matty Ice here from McDaniel GM Superstore in Marion. Are you looking for an affordable family car? Then the Chevy Traverse is for you. This month at McDaniel GM Superstore, you can get up to $3,000 off MSRP on a 2025 Traverse. Plus, qualified buyers can finance at 6.8% for 72 months. They are just a short drive north of Route 23 in Marion, or you can visit McDanielGMSuperstore.com. McDaniel GM Superstore, where great deals meet a century of trust. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Nashville's hottest band, Old Dominion, is coming to Great American Ballpark on July 10th as part of the Ohio Lottery post-game concert series. After the Reds take on the Marlins, all fans in attendance are invited to stay and enjoy a set from Old Dominion. Plus, you can upgrade your ticket to a pit field pass for an up-close view of the show. For tickets and more information, visit reds.com/concerts.
The champs are back. Ohio State football returns to the Shoe this fall with powerhouse matchups against Texas, Penn State, and more. Your Buckeye Saturdays begin at ohiostatebuckeyes.com, where you can grab single game tickets that are on sale now. Gear up and get ready for game day.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for today. We are expecting partly cloudy skies. A couple pop-up showers and storms are possible here during the afternoon with the heating of the day. We'll see high temperatures into the upper 80s, but it will feel like it's closer to 90 here with the muggy conditions around. We'll keep that in the forecast here for Sunday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs around 90, but a few pop-up showers and storms are possible once again in the afternoon. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
We're your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah? The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
The new NCAA football video game is coming out, NCAA 26. I loved NCAA 25. Played the heck out of that game. Vanderbilt was my team.
Okay.
Led them to multiple college football playoff championships. Diego Pavia. He was not on Vanderbilt in the game. It was very odd. Nate Johnson was the quarterback for Vanderbilt.
Did he just opt out?
I have no idea because I was like, I had done my research going into it. I was like, which school am I going to start with? And Johnson was a transfer from Utah, and I think he had 99 speed, so I liked that. And then they, like in real life, Diego Pavia was there too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have options at quarterback. I'm going to run a little battle in camp. And Diego Pavia wasn't in the game. Like he was not on them for some reason. NCAA 26, I'm sure he's on them.
Yeah,
but
that would make more sense.
Hopefully I get the game, and hopefully I run it back. Sam Houston State I went crazy with, too. That was way harder to do. But I bring this up because the toughest places to play have come out. And Ohio Stadium is ranked 3rd in NCAA 26. Tiger Stadium, LSU is number 1. Beaver Stadium, Penn State, which we talked about in person earlier, is number 2. Sanford Stadium, Georgia, number 4. Bryant-Denny Stadium, Alabama, 5. Other Big Ten schools in the top 25, you've got Oregon, Autzen Stadium at 9, Michigan at 10, Wisconsin 15, Iowa at 19, then maybe a surprise Michigan State at 24. It got me thinking, and I know you wrote about this earlier this week, right? Is Ohio Stadium truly one of the hardest places to play in college football? When I float that question out there, where does your mind go?
Well, I mean, I think the Buckeye record obviously speaks for itself there. Now, some of that has to do with the ability of the players and the coaches that Ohio State has. I think when Ohio Stadium is at its best, it is among one of the better atmospheres in college football. Whether it's the top, that upper echelon, I don't know. The stadium doesn't itself resonate. No, like Autzen Stadium, that was one of the very clear things. Like not nearly as big as some of these stadiums, but the sound just, especially when we were down on the field, it was just loud. Like Penn State and the way they have the student section, Camp Randall with Wisconsin. I've heard the same things about LSU and places in the SEC. Ohio State doesn't have that, but when it gets it right, it's really good. I think some of the issue, and I've had conversations with people about this before, like some of the issue is the location. If you are an Ohio State fan in Columbus, say, you're going to go on Saturday and maybe you go tailgate early and, you drink all day, you eat and do all that stuff and get all ready to go. But a lot of people are just driving in from Dublin, from Westerville, from wherever for the game. Then they drive home. If you are going, I've been stuck in the traffic going to Camp Randall or to State College. You are committed to do that all day, right? And so when you get into that game, you are going nuts, especially if it's a big game. And I just think it's a different sort of vibe for a lot of people that go to Ohio Stadium. And the way that the stadium is set up with where the students are and kind of dispersed between, there is the south end zone, but then they're dispersed. I know they've added some in the north. There's a lot of people that aren't going to be standing up the whole time, and I understand that. So I think it can be very good. I don't think it is like one of the iconically loud stadiums, but it does benefit from having 100,000 people.
No, I would agree with that in that I think some of these other environments, there's a greater level of hostility than there is at Ohio Stadium. And I think there might be a big reason for that. And I love what you brought up about just kind of the different vibe. And we had talked about, State College is out there. Right. Like you're driving to State College. There's nothing there besides State College and Beaver Stadium and obviously campus for Penn State. When I've been there before, I kind of have likened it to like a Civil War camp around the stadium. Like there's just, and I was there for a whiteout, obviously. There's just white everywhere, tents everywhere, cars everywhere. It is like that. It's like a Civil War camp where you're just rows of people. It's if you watch Game of Thrones and they set up there, that is what Penn State looks like before a game.
It does go to, though, there's what is the definition of toughest place to play? Like, the thing I've noticed on the line, the amusing thing has been Tennessee fans are freaking out. Neyland is only at number 12.
Yeah.
Like, we set the record for the highest decibel ever in a game. Yeah, and then you lost 38-10. How hard was it actually to play there?
It's got to be a combination of what we've talked about, that the team you're playing is very, very good, and then there's like an intimidation level when you go into the stadium because you know the fans are going to be hostile and you know it's going to be loud. And for me, like that's why I like Penn State so much, or LSU, because there is a level of hostility and there is a level of organization within the student body that makes it that way. Right. Like everything is organized when you go to Beaver Stadium. The chants, everybody knows what they're doing when this song comes on, etc. LSU, obviously, they've got their things that they sing there. Do we have that as much at Ohio Stadium? I don't think there's as much student organization in terms of like, this song comes on, this is what we are doing. Oh, we're going to get on this guy right now. We're going to get on this team right now. There's stuff that comes up on third down. You know, everybody puts their threes up. Oh, all that stuff. Rip his head off, take his shoes, hell's bells, all that stuff. It happens, yes. But I think at some of these other schools, there's just a different level. Not to mention, it takes some time to fill in the Ohio State student section because a lot of people are coming from dorms that aren't necessarily close to the stadium, coming from high street bars that aren't necessarily close to the stadium. So it takes a little bit more time. I think what you brought up is a tremendous point in that when people are going to a destination, going to one of those stadiums that's out there and you know you're in it for the day, it's like, all right, let's go. When they're tailgating, everybody's tailgating around the stadium, you start to build that vibe. All right, let's go. And you get inside and it's like that. It maintains that vibe. Obviously at Ohio State, tailgating's not as big of a thing as some of these other schools just because, you know, the parking lot is not huge around the stadium. Off-campus housing is where a lot of the quote-unquote tailgates happen. That's what they call it. And that's far away. So it takes a little bit longer to fill in. And I'm with you. It's not as big of a, hey, this is what we are doing for the day. Maybe it's more so, hey, we're going to go to the Buckeye game at noon. It'll be over at 4 o'clock, 4:30. We'll get out of there, go on with the rest of our day. I don't know if I'm simplifying things.
That's the other little thing we're kind of dancing around there. So many Ohio State games have been at noon recently. Yeah, there's only so hyped up you can get for a noon game.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because, you know, when I left the studio a little bit earlier and came back, something I was thinking about in the favorite games that we've worked, a big reason I loved the Stadium Series game so much is because it was a night game. Mm-hmm. And like, apologies to Ohio State football fans, it's just better at night. It is, right? Like, there's something about it being noon at Ohio State. It's special. You know, obviously the game is always at noon, but night games are awesome. People loved that Tennessee game for that reason, right? It was a night game. I think Ohio State obviously deserves more of that. They're not going to get it with Texas, but there is something to be said that when you picture these hostile atmospheres and hostile environments, they are typically night games.
Right. And I think when Ohio State does have that, and we've talked about some of them, Penn State games in the past, USC, I brought up that one, the Texas game in 2005.
How much better was the Tennessee game than every other game last year?
Is it as simple as the dark is scary?
Well, I think that it certainly plays a part. Like, even if you have a 3:30 game later in the year when it's cloudy and like, it definitely has a different feel. You can do more with the fireworks and lights and stuff, which Ross Bjork has talked about. But also just the time to go tailgate or whatever you want to do throughout the day. And I do think, thinking back to when I was a student and went to different schools, first of all, when Ohio State comes, obviously everyone is juiced up, right? So you get the best experience. And we see Ohio Stadium every week where, you know, when they play, no offense to Ohio University or Akron, but like, it's a different atmosphere wherever you are for those games. But I also think the fans, because those schools, you know, Ohio State's one of the biggest universities in the country, right? So not everyone there is going to be interested in the football game, just percentage wise. And I think you see that, some people will go to games. I remember being at decently big games as people like left at halftime, you know, not to pinpoint any certain group, but there are people that will just go for the first half because it's the thing that you're doing. And I think at other schools, you don't see that, especially in the South. Like, it is what you do on Saturdays. People were bred that way, is, you know, LSU, Ole Miss, name the school. You grew up doing that. And if you did it, you learn it pretty quick when you get there.
You know, Ohio State talks about something at the start of every season. Their 3 goals, right? Beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. We know they haven't beat Michigan the last couple of years. Something that surprisingly they haven't done a whole lot of is win the Big Ten championship.
Right.
So when we come back, I want to talk about how they can accomplish that, get back to that this season. That's coming up. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
When you're a AAA member, we do the hard stuff for you. So picture this. You're taking a road trip through the mountains at night, and you run out of gas. Do you, A, call AAA, or B, walk 29 miles to the nearest gas station in the pouring rain?
A?
How about this? You need auto insurance. You could A, pick AAA to find the best coverage for you, or B, spend so much time researching insurance jargon that you might as well have gotten a law degree.
Yeah, I'm going with A.
Right. Okay, you're booking a vacation. You can A, have AAA plan it for you, or B, stress so hard about layovers and getting to your cruise that you need a vacation from booking your vacation.
That's easy. A, AAA.
On the plus side, get more with AAA. Go to AAA.com/plus side.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof, every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Let's be honest, we could all use a little vacation from the ordinary. But with Tim Hortons' new refreshers, you don't need to pack your bags. Just sip, relax, and enjoy your refreshing 16-ounce vacation. With tropical mango packed with real pineapple and mango pieces. And strawberry watermelon kiwi featuring real pieces of strawberry and kiwi. Also, try it with lemonade or coconut milk. A choose-your-own taste bud adventure. Head to Tim's for the new refreshers. Your 16-ounce vacation awaits. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Dylan Tyrer, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh back with you. Time to talk some Ohio State football. Continue our conversation on Ohio State football. And, you know, the next thing is it's kind of a mystery to me, right? We had talked about it earlier. The 3 goals that Ohio State sets at the start of every season. Beat your rival, beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. Last season, they won the national championship, but they didn't beat Michigan and they didn't win the Big Ten championship. It's actually been quite a while since they even played in the Big Ten championship. 2020 was the last time that happened. Justin Fields at the helm, and last time they won, coincidentally. How can Ohio State get back there like that? That is something that is a staple of Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship. How can they do that again?
Well, I mean, it starts with beating Michigan. If you look at these last 4 years, that is the game that has kept Ohio State out every time. Mm-hmm. If you win one or any of those games, you're in Indianapolis, you're playing for a Big Ten championship. So it starts with that. And I think that that's a bigger conversation because you look at last year, there's clearly a mental hurdle now for Ohio State. It's been 4 years. I mean, last year, the Buckeyes were clearly the more talented team going into the game. It was a bad year for Michigan. And yet that game, you know, they say, throw out the records. I mean, that was the ultimate example of that, right? That it didn't matter. On that day, Michigan found a way to win the game. And I think Ryan Day has heard a lot of the criticism, and maybe winning a national championship will kind of allow him to let this go. But after that 2021 game, 2021, when Michigan won for the first time in quite a while, there was talk from the Michigan side about Ohio State being soft and things like that. And they knew that they'd be able to run on Ohio State and get pressure on the quarter, all this stuff. And I think that stuck with Ryan Day. Mm-hmm. And I think you saw last year him trying to prove, instead of getting the ball to Jeremiah Smith and your playmakers, Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate, doing the things that you had done well all season, it was let's try and run the ball up the middle, show that we can win like old school football, right? And they didn't need to do that. You know, I think if they play their game, they probably win that game comfortably. And so you look forward now, okay, you've won a national championship. That monkey's off your back, right? The talk about Brian Day can't win a big game. That's off your back. So now that's the next hurdle. And in doing that, I think you unlock the chance to go back to Indianapolis and play for a Big Ten championship. The other question, though, is do you want to play? First of all, will there be, as we look forward, will there be a Big Ten championship game? Because that may disappear. But while it's still here, look at last year. The conference champions all lost early in the playoff, right? So, and we saw Ohio State beat Oregon handily in the Rose Bowl. So do you want that and then have the layoff that comes with that probably? And I know the format is changing a little bit this season. So, look, I think that as college football changes and becomes more like the NFL, winning the Big Ten should remain a priority, but it also isn't essential to winning a national championship. Similar to when we have the conversation about Michigan. Like, for me, that needs to still be a real rivalry, and it can't become like NFL division rivalries that you lose, you feel bad about it, but you go on to the next week. Like, that still needs to matter. But in terms of the ultimate goal, you can obviously win a national championship after losing to your rival.
It's kind of a dumb hypothetical that I'm going to pose because Ohio State won the national championship. But if they play in the Big Ten championship game last year, do you think they still go on to win the national championship game? Because adding that extra game is tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ohio State, I think, benefited from a little bit of rest there. I do think they beat Oregon the second time around regardless, because I just think it's so hard to beat a team twice in a season like that. And Ohio State went on the road for that one into obviously what you talked about was a very hostile environment. But do you see Ohio State managing the same success, going on the run that they did through the college football playoff if they had to play in the Big Ten championship?
It's a tough question because there's the rest versus rust conversation, which I think Oregon would tell you, that break was probably a little too long. Like, there's only so much you can simulate real games as you're waiting, almost a month, I think it was, maybe almost exactly a month to play a game after you're used to playing week after week after week. And Ohio State did have a little bit of a layoff, but it wasn't nearly the same. And I think you build momentum with that first round win too. All of the teams, I think they did. And so if they do, I still think they have the talent to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you win the Big Ten, you probably have beaten Michigan. Do you have the same motivation? Like, that's another thing too. Some of the guys, I know some guys push back on it when we asked the question, but some of the guys said, look, it was a good thing we lost to Michigan because, well, they didn't say Michigan, first of all, because that's a no-no. But it was a motivating factor. It changed we've all heard about the meeting after that game with Ryan Day and the real tough conversations that had to be had. Like, sometimes losing is a good thing. You obviously don't want that to be in that game, but I don't know, to answer your question, what kind of run they go on or if they make the same kind of run. I, again, like to think so because I think that was the most talented team in the country. But that doesn't always matter, on any given Saturday, as we saw with the Michigan game.
There's also the factor that Ohio State winning the Big Ten completely reseeds everyone in the playoffs. So we might even be playing like Georgia or someone in the first round. Like, who knows?
It's another good point to bring up there. And the way it shook out was kind of perfect for Ohio State. Of course, in hindsight, it's perfect because they won. But everything worked out for the Buckeyes. And I'm sure that while they didn't accomplish those first two goals, winning the national championship probably supersedes everything. But what else? Like you said, there were a couple different factors that come into winning the Big Ten championship. Obviously, beating Michigan is one of them. But what else?
Well, I think if we're talking specifically this year, you need to get the quarterback situation figured out. And look, I think they have two good options, Julian Sayin and Lincoln Kienholz, but you got to get that decision right. I think the talent across the board is good and as good as anyone in the Big Ten, but there are, certain positions like safety, for instance, where you're trying to replace a guy like Lathan Ransom. You've got your nickel back where Jordan Hancock was a super underrated player. Okay, who is going to be that guy, and can they have the same kind of impact that he did? What happens if teams are, I don't think this will happen, but what happens if teams are able to slow down Jeremiah Smith?
Mm-hmm.
If they just put a lot of attention on him, we saw Carnell Tate do it in moments last year, like the Texas game, Northwestern, Nebraska, but can he be a number one receiver if somehow Jeremiah Smith is limited? I don't think that will be a thing that teams can do, even if they do double team.
Or if he were to get hurt.
Yeah, knock on wood. But look, to win any championship, you need things to go your way. You don't just win on talent. Otherwise, we could figure that out probably before the season, and there'd be no reason to play the games. But I think that those things, specifically for this year, getting back on track, are key for Ohio State to be the best team in the Big Ten, which, again, talent-wise, I think they have that.
Or do you think they're going to do it this year?
I do.
We're going to see them do it?
We were talking, I think Anthony Rothman had a poll that he put out this week about whether Ohio State football beats Michigan.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Or the basketball team makes the NCAA tournament. And for me, I went football narrowly just because I think there's going to be so much. Like, you've won the national championship, right? Now the focus is Michigan this year. And obviously you'd love to win another national championship, but when they come time for that game, I think that will be so much of a focus. It's not going to be easy. It's in Ann Arbor. I think Michigan will be better, but if you win that, I think you're in Indy, and then I think you have a really good shot.
Is Bryce Underwood going to be their starting quarterback this season?
It looks like it.
That's pretty crazy to consider.
Yeah. I mean, he's a really talented freshman. Don't get me wrong, but that's a tough. We've seen it every once in a while at Ohio State. Terrell Pryor, Braxton Miller, guys starting as true freshmen, and it is not easy. You look at Dylan Raiola last year at Nebraska, really talented kid, but had his ups and downs. It's much easier to sit for a year, even if you are super talented. We'll see what he can do if he does win that job.
All right, we've got more to talk about as far as it goes with Ohio State football. You obviously need good players to win championships, and yesterday thinking the NHL Draft, the Buckeyes landed another one yesterday, a new recruit for Ohio State, so we'll have more on him coming up. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Whatever you're doing right now, just know that Bo Bishop is enjoying a sip of bourbon, even if this promo is playing in the morning. No judgment.
Ah, sweet morning drinking.
The Fan.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Save big on 18-ounce containers of blueberries or 12-ounce containers of raspberries. Right now, they're only $3.77 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
This is a jackpot alert. The Ohio Lottery's Powerball jackpot is up to $155 million. Powerball jackpots are growing faster than ever. Drawings are every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So what are you waiting for? Get your Powerball ticket today.
Check it.
And remember, Keno Double Booster is back every Monday in June. For all Keno tickets with Booster purchased between 3 and 5 o'clock, the booster will be doubled. Your winnings could be boosted by as much as 20 times. Don't miss out. Play today. Lottery players are subject to commission laws and regulations. Play responsibly.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
He shoots, he scores! No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
When you join the plus side with AAA, that's all you'll have to do. Or you could learn to change your own tire.
Hey fam, what's up? Today I'm gonna teach you to change a flat. Before we start, make sure it's not raining, or hailing, or lightning.
Skip the hard work. On the plus side, get more with AAA. Go to AAA.com/plus side.
Hi, here are some ways to listen to The Fan. You can download the Fan app or listen at home on your smart speaker or open up the iHeartRadio app or hold your head out the window and hear Common Man scream. Happy listening from the Dopes at The Fan.
Get summer blockbuster savings at Coughlin Kia, Central Ohio's largest volume Kia dealer. Right now, take up to $6,000 off MSRP on any new Kia in stock. Plus, get free maintenance for a full year when you buy. Get any new Kia with up to $6,000 off MSRP. Visit CoglinKia.com.
Largest Kia dealer based on current ground stock at all 4 Coughlin Kia locations. 2025 Kia Sorento XY. MSRP $47,990. $3,000 Coughlin discount. $3,000 factory rebate. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. N7725.
I'm an old school Joe. I never lay juice I don't want to lay. I don't hate my money like that. I'd rather lay minus 108 than minus 110, wouldn't you? Prime Sports is Ohio's full-time reduced juice sports book. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Final segment of the show here, still talking Ohio State football. That is because the Buckeyes have a brand new recruit. As of yesterday, they've got a commitment from Damari Simeon, defensive lineman, 4-star in the class of 2026. Pat, what do you know about this guy?
Yeah, I think this, first of all, it's an important commitment for Ohio State. Texas, Michigan, Penn State were all in the running here as finalists. So last I checked, those are all pretty good college football programs and teams that you want to beat for recruits. Ohio State's defensive line recruiting has not quite picked up yet for the 2026 class. This is a second defensive line commitment, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And look, people are going to look at star rankings, and according to the composite, he's the 201st player in the country. I would say let the Buckeyes coaching staff do their work and decide. Would you love to have 5-star kids coming in at every position? Yes. There's a lot of reasons, a lot that goes into landing some of those kids, including NIL payments. And we know that Ohio State isn't going to be the highest bidders on high school kids, most high school kids, just because of the way that they have structured the way they're going to pay guys. And you can make arguments whether that's the right way or not. Let's remember, Ohio State did just win the national championship. So for Simeon in particular, 6'3", 275 pounds, right size. We'll probably have to put on some upper body strength when he gets there, but he's a guy who could play a couple different positions, I think, for the Buckeyes. Once he gets on campus, they can kind of work that out. But good first step, a guy that I know that they were really excited about. And again, when you are competing with some of the, it's not like this was a kid that had MAC offers, right? You're competing with some of the best programs in the country for a prospect like that. And I think getting another defensive lineman and starting to get that ball rolling in this class is really important.
Talking about Ohio State recruiting in general right now, where do things kind of stand going forward, the class of 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, class of 2026 right now, according to the 247 Sports Rankings, they're number 5, which is where you want to be. Obviously, you'd love to be number 1. They've fluctuated back and forth between really 2 and 5 over the last month or so. I actually wrote a story about that they jumped up after getting a commitment from Sincere Johnson, the linebacker from Glenville. They jumped up to number 2. Within minutes of me publishing this story, they had dropped back to number 4 because of, or maybe number 3, because Texas A&M got a 5-star commitment. So they jumped to number 2. So it changes daily with hourly, but you've got a really talented class led by Chris Henry Jr., the wide receiver, who is from Ohio but moved out to California, is at Modern Day. Blaine Bradford, another talented 4 or 5-star, depending on where you look, safety. They are loading up once again. And I think the biggest thing is, what does it look like in the trenches? I think that's where Ohio State may have had some questions the last few years. We just talked about defensive line, but offensive line, they're in a really good spot. Maxwell Riley, the tackle from Avon Lake, 4-star kid. Sam Greer is a guy who rated lower according to the 247 rankings than Riley, but I know that's someone they think could be a superstar. So they've with Tyler Bowen coming in, he's kind of changed the approach to offensive line recruiting. He has cast a wider net than Justin Fry was before him. And I think you've seen some of the benefits of that because there have been options when they've missed on a guy. Okay, where's the next guy? Or even guys that are still out there and are still considering them. Just recently, they landed a commitment from Aaron Thomas from Phoenix, Arizona. And he's a 3-star kid, but he's a guy they really like, a developmental guy. And if they miss on some of the higher ranked guys, okay, they have this guy in the fold, so to speak, that they really think in a few years, once he gets on campus, could be something special.
It's quite a landscape right now with the ever-changing NIL situation and the payment of players and how that will work out with, kind of the salary cap style situation coming into the fold. But you got to stay, no matter how it shakes out, to stay relevant in modern college football, you got to be in that top 5, top 10 when it comes to recruiting, right? I mean, you look at those rankings and those are the teams that year after year, they're putting the best teams on the field. It goes without saying, but you have to get those guys on campus, then you have to develop them. And, I would say you look at so many guys going to the NFL, it's a testament to what Ohio State's been able to do in developing guys. You can get those guys, you have to develop them, though.
Right. And, yeah, I think you hit it spot on. That top 5 is where you want to be. If, there have been studies on it that, those are the teams. Obviously, with a 4-team playoff, that makes sense, right? The top 5, you should be right there if you're consistently in there. But even with the 12-team playoffs, you look at last year, the teams that really made runs, they were the teams that had recruited well. And then there's that developmental side you mentioned. And it's only going to get more complicated on the recruiting front with, revenue sharing starting July 1st. How do teams now use their NIL? How are you using that revenue sharing? Ohio State has their plan with the 4 programs that they're going to give the revenue to. Other schools are going to do things differently. You look at a school like Texas this offseason. They have thrown a lot of money around, both to transfer portal players and high school kids, and they want to win a national championship. Oregon doing the same thing with Phil Knight out there. So Ohio State and Ryan Day have taken the approach of we'd rather pay our guys that have proven it. Not that they won't pay some high school kids because Jeremiah Smith isn't playing for free last season, right? But they have a proven now, after winning a national championship approach, they're not going to break the bank for a kid necessarily unless they really think he is worth it. And other schools might. And we'll see kind of how that plays out. But I know Ohio State strongly believes in what they're doing.
Yeah, this is changing the conversation a little bit right now. But with that structure, the $20 million to kind of dole out, Ohio State has said that they want to keep their 36 varsity sports. Right. Other teams or other programs have made this pledge too, that they're going to keep their varsity sports. As this landscape continues to change, do you imagine that that's viable? I'll ask both you guys that question because, you think about the SEC, maybe they put a little bit more some of their schools put a little bit more importance on baseball. Well, what's that going to mean for, their swimming program or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Where it could potentially die off over time, that you're not getting those recruits to be able to compete. And if that's the case, is it really worth it to keep that athletic program? You understand what I'm saying there? Yeah. Like, I want to keep all of the varsity sports at all of these schools. I think it's important to have them, but is it truly viable?
It's going to be tough. I mean, especially at Ohio State where you have 36, which is the most in the country, to, fund all of that. Now, NIL, the scholarships that they've created as well that have gone to those other sports will certainly help. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky thing. And, maybe the revenue goes up. You're allowed to give it to more.
I hope so. I think that's the only way to keep it going, right? Like, I just feel like doling out $20 million between all these programs is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a place like an Ohio State, you have enough boosters around, you can probably keep it going. But if you're in a place like in the MAC or something,
right?
I don't know how you don't slash half your teams like right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's and I'm just thinking about those programs that maybe aren't as successful. Like Ohio State's been very fortunate to have a lot of success across the board in sports. But
is Vanderbilt going to go tossing money around?
Yeah, and that's my question. Like some of these SEC schools like Vanderbilt, they get the best baseball players every year. Is their football program going to suffer because of that? Because I'm sure they'd love to be, when it comes down to it, I'm sure they'd love more so to be relevant in football than baseball, right? Like I just don't know how all of this shakes out in the end, but it's a very intriguing space to watch in sports, right? Obviously,
right.
It drives so much conversation.
Well, and what sports are raising money?
Yeah.
So football, obviously, men's basketball, women's basketball, those are the obvious ones. Okay, what other sports, what can they do getting people in the door and things like that to kind of help? I think NIL is going to be important for those other programs, too, that's going to be your big recruiting thing, right? Is can you raise money in other ways?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is truly a great point, and it's something that I feel like we're only scratching the surface of right now, that some of the coaches need to understand the landscape to help recruits understand, here's how you can benefit from all of this, right? Here's what we can do for you. And I know these different athletic programs are hiring people to help with that. And it's just such a fascinating thing. And I don't know if you can like even do enough research to fully understand everything that's going on right now. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's a lot of unknowns, and it's going to continue to change, and you just have to be ready. And I think if you're looking at it from purely an Ohio State perspective, I think they are now better equipped. When NIL first became a thing, it was like, what do we do? What do we do? Now they are set up, I think, for success going forward and have plans and contingency plans off of those.
All right, guys, this was such a fun show today. I really enjoyed doing it with you. Actually, the first time I think the trio of us have all worked together, so had a great time. We talked the NHL draft in the first hour, focused a little bit more baseball in the second hour, and wrapped it up with some Ohio State football conversation. I will say day 2 of the NHL draft started off at noon. Blue Jackets don't have second and third round picks, so it'll be a little while, but who's to say they don't make a trade or something like that? So more Ohio sports news throughout the remainder of the day. Nate Puderbach, great job back there. Thanks for doing it with me. You too, Pat. Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
The 2 most mature people working at the radio station, and that's just because they wear pants.
The pervert and the skivvies.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan.
Summer is hot, sticky, and buggy. But Modelo is cold, crisp, and smooth. When you're sweating through your shirt and the beach is mad crowded, the lime and salt flavors of a Modelo Chelada hit just right. When the weather's perfect but you're still at work, it's time to clock out and stock up on Modelo. Drink responsibly. Beer and flavored beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
This summer, save more with hot deals on Meyer brand must-haves for $2 or less all season long.
Like Meyer potato chips?
Yep.
Hamburger buns?
Of course.
Ketchup?
Absolutely.
How about Meyer lemonade? That's my favorite.
Yep, that too. Plus pickles, baked beans, cheese slices for sandwiches. It's your favorite Meyer brand must-haves for $2 or less all season long.
That's a good deal better.
Only at Meyer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meyer app.
A healthy body needs good food. This summer, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is sponsoring Sun Meals, a summer food program where kids eat free. Children under 18 receive healthy meals and no sign-up is required. Locations may be right in your neighborhood. Call 1-866-348-6479 or visit education.ohio.gov/kidseat for meal locations and times. That's education.ohio.gov/kidseat.
Get Eco.
ECO. Hey, Jerry, I think I invented something. Does it solve a problem? It solves a big problem.
Get Eco.
ECO. Heating and cooling companies are telling people your furnace and AC isn't worth fixing. You need to replace it with a whole new system.
You invented a solution for that?
I invented a way to fix those systems for free.
Get Eco.
ECO. That's a great invention. How does it work?
Step 1 is to pay Eco to fix it.
I thought you said you'd fix it for free.
Step 2 is that we give you back all the money that you paid us, up to $1,500 when you get Eco to replace it.
Get Eco.
ECO. What if your repair keeps my system running for several more years?
That would mean you got all those extra years for free.
Paying Eco to fix your AC system is like putting money in the bank.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
GetEco.com.
Nashville's hottest band, Old Dominion, is coming to Great American Ballpark on July 10th as part of the Ohio Lottery post-game concert series. After the Reds take on the Marlins, all fans in attendance are invited to stay and enjoy a set from Old Dominion. Plus, you can upgrade your ticket to a pit field pass for an up-close view of the show. For tickets and more information, visit Reds.